Okay, call the meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we thank you for letting us another day and help us be your will and meeting and give each one of us and make our decisions in the country. That's good. Honor you and come back from you and power you.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Pollitt. Welcome, everybody, to our second afternoon meeting. It's a wonderful day in Brown County. It's so green and nice out there, but you can see the trees just starting to do their thing. So it's a lovely day, but we're glad to be here to do the business of the county. The first thing we have on the agenda is county personnel and public comment. Is there any? Is that where you want to come in? All right, Mr. Pounds. So we are doing our best to speak into microphones at volumes that people watching can hear. So if you see me do this, you know why. Okay.
All right, I got a couple things. From the emergency management side, we have a nursing home in town that has quite a few COVID cases. And they are asking for supplies because they are having trouble getting them. And I've got supplies left from the state that are in storage, so I'm able to do that. I took one load to them last week and they're needing more today, so I'm taking that. My question to you is, looking forward, at some point I'm going to run out of this stuff. Are you wanting emergency management to have stuff stockpiled in case something happens? You're guessing what you're gonna need down the road. We were criticized when the epidemic came around because nobody had anything, and then the whole world needed this stuff and nobody could get it. So we were criticized for that, but you don't know what you need. Who know that you'd need toilet paper, stuffed away. So I'm going to be running out of supplies, like they're wanting the N95 mask, hospital gowns, and rubber gloves. They're having trouble getting that stuff, and I've got it, so I'm giving it to them. Are you wanting me to replenish the supplies I've got so I have it? Or do we just take a chance on it down the road that it's going to be there?
Maybe that's something they should be doing.
I think he means just from the county's perspective. So when you had supplies, what kind of volumes are you talking about? I mean, I assume you're not talking 10 or 20 masks. You're
Okay,
20,000?
when I was getting it from the state,
uh
we were looking at the national supply, so we were getting like 10,000 at a time.
yeah.
And there were semis coming here with supplies dumping off. And that's when COVID hit. I don't ever foresee that hitting again, because that's the only time in my lifetime something like that's happened. But there again, we were criticized that we weren't prepared. There's got to be a happy median somewhere. And, money's tight. Is that where we want to put our money? So I just don't want to make that decision on my own. I would like.
Well, okay, since we're, in the business of making decisions, I think it's great that you're giving it to the nursing homes. After all we've learned, it's so dubious is the nicest word that they actually are effective at all. But if they want them, that's great, because there's no sense in them just sitting in a dark room someplace. As far as restocking, since you can't outguess it, why not? Could you establish like a minimum in your own mind, what you think would be a good number to have? Just say it's 1,000, just whatever, it's 1,000. I'm gonna have 1,000 of these just in case and go on down the line. Did you have more than just masks, gowns, and rubber gloves?
Yeah, there's lots of different things, but a lot of it's not used.
Yeah.
So,
And do you have to throw it away? Does it expire?
there's some things that do have expiration dates.
Yeah. That's a tricky one, Dawn. I would lean on your expertise, but if my opinion is you don't need a whole bunch of it around, but just enough to say you have something. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm glad you're doing it. I'm glad somebody thought to even reach out to you. I would have
Yeah.
never thought to make that connection.
Yeah, that's, well, in COVID, that's what my job was.
Yeah.
Was a central supplier for all that stuff. So, yeah, what he's
Okay.
what are there for.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it need too much at all.
Yeah, just a minimum amount.
Okay,
Good enough?
yep,
Okay.
very good. Okay, and the next part of it, when I start handing that stuff out, when I'm done with the free stuff I've got and we start handing out stuff that the county's bought, do I have to charge for it?
No.
Okay,
The surplus value on that's very limited in terms of like the equipment that you're talking about, like the PPE, the personal protective
Mhm.
equipment. There's no real resale market for it. We're not a marketer of it, so I would just declare it as surplus and transfer.
But when he has to restock, is that what you mean?
Right.
When he restocks with purchased items,
Uh-huh.
then what happens?
Then, we're not making like a profit off of it, but if we have items that people want and it's part of our normal service provision, then we're not selling it, that's part of what we're distributing. But if we're buying things and then people are buying it from us like a commodity, if they're restocking, then we would sell it. We're probably not making a profit, but we would have to have a sales tax if we charge sales tax and it wasn't just to another government from a donation. That's why I'm getting to, it's kind of like the way we would treat our road and bridge stuff. Like if we're going to sell, whatever it might be, coal tubes, I was going to say tubes. Yeah. Thank you for tubes. I tipped my tongue. But if we're going to sell tubes, just the way we'd sell that, we'd sell the other stuff.
That makes sense?
yes,
Okay.
it could be very complicated.
It sounds like it. Yeah. Do we want to be is that our business? Emergency management, I understand. But if you procure supplies, are you talking in the absence of an emergency, just like generally, if just like you have an instance at this nursing home where there's elevated cases, but it's not countywide. Do people come to you normally in a situation like that looking for supplies to purchase?
If they are having trouble getting it somewhere else, like they're calling their suppliers and go, we can't get it to you for 2 weeks,
Okay.
then yes, they will come.
Okay. So then in that
Yeah.
event, then if you could find some, then you would end up. He would
Yeah,
just
you could
basically
buy it and pass it through.
Okay,
But do collect sales tax just like you would if you were selling something else.
all right.
Okay.
And the other thing is I could have them replace what I gave them.
Yes,
And then I wouldn't have to go through that sales tax and all that.
that's true. If they replaced what they're giving to you, then I
Mhm.
think, yeah, you wouldn't have to go through all that. No. Okay.
Okay. Very good. That's all I have on the COVID.
All right. I was hoping I'd never have to hear that word again.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
still here.
All right.
Okay, I need to talk about the transfer station real quick.
Okay.
The septic tank system has become a huge issue. We did a bunch more digging. The original septic tank, the pipe came out of it and it was absolutely completely plugged and it was not hooked to anything. The mud actually went around the end of the pipe, so we know it's been that way for years. And it's just very minimal use, and that's why it can just leach away and work. We went across the road and dug where we thought the lateral field was, hit the pipe and broke it open, and it's completely packed with mud too. So I got Dirk Wasser to come in and he inspected the pipes and looked at everything that we did. And he said it's got to be a complete new system. He contacted the state inspector and she came out and said there's one area where it has to be because of the lay of the ground. And the tunnel where we pull the loaded trucks out, it has to be on the west side of that because that's the only area that we have flat enough.
Is that going to get in the way with the new driveway you had talked about?
No,
No, it doesn't.
no,
Okay.
we'll be fine.
Okay.
Right. So this is what I got a bid from Dirk. He brought it to me this morning to do the complete thing. He's going, and it is from the building completely on. He's going to do the whole project. I talked to the state inspector myself, and we may be able to use a smaller septic tank than's there if this one gets damaged pulling it out. I talked to you the last time I was in here about a lift station for that septic tank. We do not need that. He's gonna put it in at the right elevation, and that's gonna save over $6,000 getting rid of that. So, his new bid, and I've got it here, is $19,800. I do not see any way around this.
You heard my sigh.
Yep.
Is he putting the pipe in? At the one time we talked about putting the pipe in a steel sleeve.
And he talked to a couple people and I did too, and everyone said if it's 3 feet below ground, you're putting crushed rock under it, around it and over it. You will not need it, especially with that slow a speed of traffic. So we're not putting it in steel.
Okay. And he'll pack it in and everything
Yes.
anyway. Yeah, okay. That makes it simple. Is this gonna be installed on the weekend or?
Yeah, he will do it outside of our work hours.
Yeah. So if I remember right, the last time we looked at something like this, it was about $17,000 to do it about 100 feet away. But apparently where they were gonna install the infiltrators, you said it's too steep, it wouldn't
Right.
work, so they had to extend it out past the building. And
And that's from the state inspector, and so that's the final word on it.
so the first bid we had, it wasn't state approved then.
Because we were hoping to use that existing lateral field.
Okay,
We were hoping the pipe was just crushed under the driveway.
everything changes. Are you formulating some questions?
The PVC stuff, and what they recommend that is.
Right. And they make different schedules. That's the thickness of it, and he's using the heaviest.
80? It's kidding me.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's good. No.
For the perforated pipe, is it, it's plastic pipe or is it something, is it PVC too, or is it?
Yes.
Or is it just a black perforated pipe?
I don't know what he puts out there at the end of the lateral field.
So instead of infiltrators, this is the pipe and rock system. Instead of infiltrators, you'll have, I think they're 10-foot section of 4-inch PVC, which is say 3/4 inch holes just drilled on 4 sides. I mean, that's what I've seen in pipe and rock.
And this is gonna be out in that field to the west of the building down there that the truck tunnel is in. So out by that railroad car
Oh,
that's buried.
all that right out there.
Yeah, clear out there. So there'll be no traffic on it. So that will be safe out there.
Yeah, because we'll have to mark that off so nobody ever drives on it, on the actual lateral
Uh-huh.
feed.
How deep is the laterals?
That's based on the type of soil, and that's what the state inspector came and looked at the soils and told Dirk Wasser exactly the depth and everything else, because different soils evaporate different rates.
Right. So just to restate, this bid, he is starting at ground zero at the pipe coming out of the concrete at the building. He's gonna install new pipe to a septic tank. The septic tank across the driveway to the west to a new lateral field. He'll put all the clean outs. I mean, everything will be on there. Just be a
Yes.
turnkey. And he's digging up an old septic tank. If he can the old new tank. If he can reuse it, does this bid change at all?
I don't believe it will.
Okay. Okay. All right.
And since we use tile, we should put this tile, no clay tiles in there.
Yeah. And
Bill-
that's,
When Bill grew up, he probably used an outhouse. That's right. Things have changed, right? Dig a hole, move the whole thing. We were not gonna ask you to use an outhouse. It's just so.
So is this bid under? Over the, do you have to have more than one bid?
I would like to use the emergency clause and get this done. We've been using a porta potty for 2 months now. And we're getting to the wetter part of the season and you can't dig in that mud and stuff. So right now we got a dry spell and he is going to get on it right away if this is approved.
So the emergency clause.
Uh-huh.
I'm not super familiar with that.
So that's if we have, I haven't read it, obviously, but other places, if you have a situation that. Other places, if you have a situation that is, you know, you don't have time to go out to traditional bids. If you have if you've gone to someone that you believe is a responsible bidder. And you've talked with them about this, how much is this cost?
$19,800.
Okay, it's below $25,000, which means that it's pretty easy for us to use our emergency clause provisions. You've worked with this person in the past, right?
Yes,
Okay, good. They've never had any issues with performance or anything like that?
no,
Okay. Well, if you feel comfortable about it, then it's something we can definitely do.
So let me throw this at you. Part of the reason our new commissioner is on is because of his experience in projects like this. He's not a commissioner officially. Can we even ask his opinion?
Sure. Ask his opinion.
Can I ask your opinion?
Sure.
I would then. What do you think? Do you guys know each other first?
no,
Don Pounds, Richard Tesserero. It's just a formality with his paperwork, but he'll soon be sitting here to my left. So he's got a lot of experience in construction, so on and so forth.
I mean, I was gonna ask the same question as you, what is our threshold before we have to get a second bid? And it sounds like you're gonna use it under the emergency. The only other thing I would probably do in something like this is I would review his bid and ask for a breakout of material and labor. And just see what we're paying for exactly when we receive a lump sum bid.
I've
I've got it.
come on up.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah, come on up, have a seat if you would. That way they can hear you.
Yeah, so it's a lump sum bid. He describes the work he's gonna do, which obviously you need, but typically, if you're not receiving a second quote, then you would at least ask for a breakdown between labor and material. And that's just to see exactly what he's charging you. And when you start looking at, okay, is this a 2-day project, a 3-day project, a 4-day project, and you start looking at the labor that he's charging you, and does it fit with what he's asking for? And that's just simply, I mean, that was required of me all the time, you know, they wanted our breakdown. Lump sum bids are they're hard to see if you are getting a good price for it, if you're not getting a second bid. Whenever you receive a second bid, then you obviously have a way to determine, are we paying the right cost for this? I understand that it's time sensitive. So, you know, sometimes during time sensitive things, you have to end up moving forward a little quicker. In a normal situation, if I was sitting on that side of the table, I would require a breakdown or at least a second bid to see what we're doing. In the future. So as an electrical contractor, you dig a lot of trenches and you bury a lot of conduit, not pipe, right? But it doesn't matter if it's pipe or conduit, it's the same kind of thing. So on things that we typically could do in-house, I didn't want to give that kind of work away. And so my question would be, in the future, not on this one, trenching and installing pipe is something that I would think that our county road guys can do very well. They bury culverts, they bury, they have to do this type of work. So in the future, I would be looking at, can we do any of this work in-house and then hire a plumber to do your tie-in, hire a plumber to do some of the work that is outside of our scope to save money?
And also piggybacking on that.
Sure.
Okay. So I don't know exactly all the equipment we have, but I would suggest my cousin Frank Parker runs Sedgwick County Rural Water District number 6 as their main operator. Okay. So even if we don't have a ditch witch and everything yet, if we need a ditch witch or we should get, I mean, the amount of equipment that we would need versus where we're at, there's probably other groups that even if we don't have it, we could collaborate with and use it fairly easily or rent it.
Sure.
So I just wanted to throw that out there and support.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, it's, you know, it's 4-inch PVC.
Yeah.
It's.
This is not hard.
It's probably Schedule 80 4-inch PVC.
Yeah.
The difference between that and electrical conduit is electrical conduit's gray and it doesn't melt under.
One
if you have
wrench,
short
one
out. But
wrench.
I'm just saying that typical trenching and laying rock
Yeah.
and backfilling is stuff that our guys do all the time. So
This
if
is-
this wasn't time sensitive, if it hadn't been a problem, it would have been one of those things where
Check.
we'll go ahead and draw up a plan. We'll self-perform as much as we can do. And we'll hire an electrician when that's necessary or hire a plumber when that's necessary to do your tie-in. You know, if you're setting a new septic tank. But I know this is the kind of work that it's right up their alley. So I think in the future, we kind of pursue that and we save some money.
Okay, let me add something into this.
Sure.
It's
Go ahead.
something I've kind of gotten in arguments about here
Oh,
is, well, it is what it is.
okay.
All right, we, doing research on the landfill out there, we are required to be self-sufficient. That means if I go ask the Road and Bridge to haul a load of dirt, I have to go to the FEMA schedule and pay them whatever the FEMA says, $100 an hour for that dump truck. I have to pay for the labor for that guy's driving. And when I go back and figure all that up, I can go out and hire somebody privately cheaper.
That's a good point. But maybe we don't do that in the future. That's all I'm saying is, we have to start looking at our processes and are we hiring things out that we could be doing in-house and saving money? You're absolutely correct. You're following the rules and you're looking at a FEMA schedule and you're saying it doesn't make any sense to pay these guys $100 an hour. But we also have council and we also have 3 commissioners that are looking to not do things the way it's always been done.
And on the FEMA schedule, I would say, see, part of it gets into the budget and we haven't gotten into some of our budget allocation funding, but right there's an example of, okay, great. If we can figure out how to do it in a way that's cost effective.
Yeah.
Okay, to make it move back and forth, it helps us come up with potential avenues to offset budget issues elsewhere. So if we can perform the work in the same way, that's the same quality, which I'm sure we can, right? We can figure out how to get that done long term. Yep.
Anyways, this is not, you did your job here.
Yes.
You went out, you did the hard work, you found somebody, and there is a time constraint on this, and those type of situations often require going to a local contractor. And I like it, he's a local contractor. I want to see local guys get the money, right? So I'm not against this. They asked me my opinion, and I'm saying in the future, these are the perfect examples of how we can brainstorm in here and save the county money, which is you, me, everybody, we're all paying the taxes. And a lot of the work that gets done, our guys are very capable of doing. So,
Yeah, excellent. The one thing I was going to show the caveat is this has to be done on the weekend so the landfill can still function.
sure.
So that would throw a little bit of a wrench into it. I was looking for the bid that we got on this the last time. Do you remember when you sent that email? Cause I can't.
And
Oh, thank you.
we were super busy this morning and I started looking and didn't find it
Yeah.
from that other plumber.
Yeah,
It was 17,000,
Yeah.
but it was only half the distance and we expected to be able to use the old leach field.
yeah. So I'm trying to compare it. We don't
Sure,
really have much to
sure.
compare it to, but that
Well,
would be,
would Dirk be willing to give us a breakdown of labor and material?
I don't know. I don't know.
I
Looks like,
believe he would.
Okay.
He's done everything I've asked. Is that gonna put this off another week? I'm worried about good weather is what.
Well, I would certainly hope it doesn't take him a week to break out the material. He already gave us a bid that lists the material he's gonna use, so he's gonna have a pretty good price of what the material costs. And again, we're not trying to hinder you here because it is kind of a time sensitive thing, but those are just the procedures we should be following as a council to make sure that we're getting a good deal for the taxpayers.
But it'll be another week before you. get
that's the dilemma.
Yes, yeah. My thing. I gave you what I would do in a normal situation.
Uh-huh.
And I stated going forward, I'd like to start doing that. This is kind of out of that realm. I think you guys have already agreed to do it. I'm not asking to stop it. I'm just saying that those are the kind of things, if you ask my opinion as a contractor, what I would be doing.
Yeah, well, the itemized bid thing, that's a policy change we ought to make anyway, going forward. But, so the dilemma of our weekly commission
Sure.
meeting is if we don't take action today, it's a whole nother week and we gotta wait. But if it doesn't make sense financially, a week is not that, it's not that big a deal. But when I compare that, at least in my head, to the other bid that we had for
Sure.
doing similar work, but less footage and actually probably less actual, because they were going to use the existing tank, right? Just move it.
Use the tank that was there and the
And the
existing
leach
leach field.
Yeah, so then if you compare, I know that's not apples to
So
apples,
what you've
but
done is you secured a second bid, which is what we were saying.
in a different situation though, because they,
I mean, common sense says this is, as a percentage wise, it's not much higher than the bid you received before, which had less work.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
and
can feel confident that we're not getting.
and this has more material
Right.
also.
Yeah, and I,
think,
oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. No, I'm sorry, but I did want to say Nikki was spot on in sending me over the purchasing policy, and then I was able to just read the emergency procedure. It says that when it's determined by the county commission that the county operations without the purchase will be adversely affected. Okay, which we've made that determination that it's adverse effect, or if there's a disaster, public health, safety and welfare, then we can use the emergency procedure. So we're fine there. Okay. Sorry,
no,
no.
I think we've answered all of our questions and we did our job, right?
Okay, okay. What do you think, Mr. Paul?
Bob is good on there.
Okay. So we can go ahead. Do we have to state our motion under the emergency clause then? Okay, and does that clause have a number or a heading? I know we had it, now it's gone.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can stay up here. It's fine. That's fine. It's fine. I appreciate your input. Okay, so I guess under the emergency purchases in the personnel policy, which we have. We have the ability as a commission to accept bids based on I guess. What was the word? Public, this would be public health, but just in the essence of time to get this thing done, I would go ahead and make a motion to accept the bid from Wasser Plumbing and Heating to correct the sewage system out at the landfill. The bid is for $19,800. The work is here. And I guess to take action on that immediately. Is that right?
And I would also like to figure out how are we gonna pay for this? Where's it coming from? Just so I'm prepared on where to take that.
Well, then I'll rescind what I just said. We better talk about that first. So Nikki, I'll ask you, when we sold that land, has that process been completed? So is that money sitting somewhere? Okay, so that's the solid waste money. I mean, and we knew that going in, so I would assume we sold 6 acres of land to pay for just a little more than a septic system, which is unfortunate. That's the little.
So how much capital improvement do we have in capital?
She's good. My preference would be just to take that money and just swap it to pay for it out of it. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, and you had around 10,000 or something. Okay, so we've got 40,000 in capital improvement. So does that sound okay with you to?
Maybe, I'm not sure when I see that monthly one, when in February I was in the red by $6,000. Okay, so is that the capital improvement, that bottom number? No. All right, so I've taken that 6,000 in the hole and it's over 100,000 to the positive now. So I believe we are making money out there and we're doing good, but I've got machinery that's going to need replaced.
Yeah.
But can that be used in that too? Okay, so, we're making money and we're going the right direction.
But you just said it, you've got machinery needs to be replaced,
Yeah.
so you may or
Yeah,
not
I don't want to
be
spend
making money, right?
everything. I've got to have a savings.
Right. So are you saying as a landfill, would you rather it come from your actual operations money that you've accumulated, or would you want to come from this capital improvement?
I
fund?
think the capital improvement, the sale of that land.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then that would be my preference. And so I'll go ahead and restate a motion that says under the emergency purchase clause in our policy there, which this would fit in. I would say we accept this bid for $19,800 to do the landfill septic work from Wasser Plumbing and Heating. We would fund that out of the transfer station capital improvement fund. Is there a second?
Discussion.
Okay.
On our original bid to redo the building, was any of this included in that bid?
No.
It's like,
Okay, it's been moved and seconded then. All in favor, say aye.
all right,
Aye. Okay, motion carried. So your input was excellent, because in the future, I mean, I think that's what we do. I mean, that's what we need to do, because we can do some of this stuff in the house, no doubt, no doubt. But this, Mr. Wasser runs a tight ship. He'll do great work, and he'll get you put together pretty quickly. Did he have a timeline? Is he thinking this weekend, maybe?
Yes, we can't do it this weekend. We're open Saturday.
Oh, okay,
But, you know, he's gonna work when we're not open, so, and he wants to get right on it.
okay.
There's this weekend, we'll address it next week. That's good.
We already did. Yeah, okay, that's it.
Well,
It's what it is.
he may be starting after we close on Saturday too.
He might,
I
he
don't
might.
know.
Right, sure.
He wanted to know where he could pile the rock and everything, so he's.
He's gonna
starting to
get right on it.
through.
Okay, in the essence of time here, I've got to cut you off because it's 1:30.
it.
Thank you. You
If
fit
there's
that in
nothing else,
perfectly.
I need to stick around.
Not that I know of. You got all your questions answered?
Well, yeah.
Okay, all right, right on. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you, Don.
Nice to meet
See you later. Jeff, Cam,
Oh, I'll send it to you. If you want, that'd be great. Okay, and I'll give you his cell phone number for that. That'd be great.
okay, it's 1:31. We were a minute behind. Now we have Bill Vonderschmidt and the Planning Commission. So come on up. Well,
Afternoon.
yeah, welcome. How are you?
Well, if I was any better, I wouldn't be here.
Okay. All right. Now, do you know Mr. Tesserero?
Yep.
All right,
There.
all right. That's good. I just want to make sure everybody knows each other.
2 copies there.
Well, there's two. I'm sorry. There you go. We have this on.
I'm here to talk about the results of our planning commission public hearing on solar zoning for Brown County. This is the resolution that was drafted up for us as a result of the meeting. And so that's what I'm presenting today. After our conversation with Patrick Hughes. So this is the final result. We had 5 people speak. One was not in favor of everything we proposed, but they were against commercial industrial solar. But they thought that the size of the property should be larger than 12 acres, like 50. And the distance from one to another be a mile. We discussed that after the public comments and we agreed to leave it as we had it.
Okay,
And part of our thinking was this covers the county, and of course, you've probably seen the ability of the police action of the county, which allows you to go inside the 3-mile radius, but it doesn't affect the city's zoning. So for Horton, Sabetha and Hiawatha, if somebody started to put one in there, they would have to comply with the county zoning.
I'm looking at it right here. Same thing.
Oh, yes.
Of course, one of our concerns besides the physical size is how they're constructed and their possible decommissioning plan. Because there's quite a bit there and the landowner could get stuck with that, or perhaps even the county. So we spent quite a bit of time discussing that.
You are spending a lot of time for sure. So I'm I'm trying to reconcile on the planning commission, basically the notes from your meetings. Item number 2 says the site size is limited to not larger than 12 acres and they must be at least 15 miles apart. So if I scroll up to the actual resolution. And if I'm missing it, I can be missing it, but where does that fall in the actual resolution?
Well, let me look again. Well,
Did it,
I don't particularly see it.
okay.
I think you must have,
What was that?
If you look at the notes and I'm looking online, it's page 4 here on my screen. It says the site size is limited to not larger than 12 acres and they must be at least 15 miles apart. So if I take that and I scroll up to the actual resolution under setback requirements, I guess, I don't see anything.
I've done power.
What's that?
I've done power. So yeah, you could have,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
that's in the.
So I guess full disclosure, I guess my intention with this is since we've got a new commissioner that's not on board yet, I was
right,
just gonna sit on it until he could get there so we could have his
Sure.
official input.
sure,
And I'm not discounting anything you've done. I
No.
just think it'd be all right to have 3 of us. vote.
totally understand.
So, but that's me. Are you okay with that?
Yes, that's another question too. So number 1 on what Patrick said was require a conditional use permit. What? From the county, so what exactly does that mean?
What's,
I'm gonna pull up after the comments real quick from,
what's a conditional use permit?
Yes, so I agree with what you said, that the size and the distance apart isn't in here that I can see. So I didn't know if that part of it covered or says require a conditional use permit from the county. Public notification that requires materials.
Yeah,
I can walk through the conditional use, but, moving forward.
You want to see it? That's his name.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of jumping into this and I know Bill. They're doing the Lord's work here. And making sure that this stuff's in place before we get into this. Decommissioning. I was just wondering, is there any other place where it talks about like, the property would be returned to as good or better condition when they started, those kind of things? How do we?
That's part of what we agree, we're going to develop a new.
Yeah,
5-year version ready. Have to, you have to work through a little bit what that means. Right.
yeah, I know that got kind of sticky because we actually did some projects where we decommissioned projects and if it's not spelled out very, in great detail, then it can become a problem.
Well,
Because,
there's some problems with like the fiberglass and they just, I think it's called. I don't know what it is, but they just basically allow it to fall into like.
right,
And if you don't do that right, then the fiberglass could. you can't
Sure.
make it feel actually hurt you. So no, I think that we need to outline a little bit of that when we get into conditional use. So the beautiful thing, and I'm still going on the agenda, in the sense of I just had that, I'm going to. Looking through here, but the beautiful thing about conditional use that if you do a conditional use, and this is sort of set up. So there's setback requirements. Okay. Plans required. The following plans to be approved. So you have a stormwater drainage plan, and you need funding and disaster response plan. When you're talking about it, you put a conditional use permit process in place. That allows for all of these things to be outlined in detail as a condition to this being approved. So what I would say is, you're talking about, I'm now putting on that, I'm not stepping on Pat's toes, okay? But when he recommended you go for the conditional use permit, that is exactly what I recommend you do in the mind. Okay, and all that's going on in Yukon County is they decided to say we're gonna have 3 or 4 things, and it may break down to even just 3 things that they regulate. They said everything's allowed, with only one zone, which is just like what you guys are at. Everything is allowed except you need a conditional use permit for solar or wind. Okay. They think landfills. Somebody brought up junkyard, we're gonna do junkyards, okay? And commercial, we were looking originally at like slaughterhouses. Large scale slaughterhouses like this. Okay. And basically the reason why we use a conditional use permit, feel free, Commissioner, to jump in. Okay, the reason why you use a conditional use permit isn't saying, hey, at the front, we may or may not, saying up front, you may or may not want to do this. You may want to have it, not want to have it. The conditional use permit says, if you're going to have all of these things happen, what's your response to grant? What's your infrastructure installation? Okay, and then also like, I'll pick on a large poultry. Now this is agriculture, we don't regulate agriculture. Okay, that was one of the things we talked about, but I'll pick on commercial slaughterhouse, Dodge City Kings. If anybody's ever heard of Dodge City Kings, it's not when we did it. Yeah, Dodge City, it smelled. And so how do you deal with the runoff? Right? Because if you put 160,000 cattle next to a slaughterhouse packaging, there's certain things that you have to deal with. Okay, so that's what the conditional use permit said. And then it also allows legally what it does is, and I was actually chatting about this earlier today. The way that we have it structured here in Brown County works because not every county has said that solar energy is not allowed. Okay, you have 2 or 3 counties that come together and say, like let's say Nemaha and us, and then beyond. Okay, but also like, hey, we're not gonna allow wind or solar and just blanket prohibition without a some type of special use process. Well, I think that might get struck down by the court. Okay, and the reason why is if you look forward to get towards Omaha, Nebraska, you have to go through these, which is you gotta go roll through. So if you say, hey, it's not allowed in any of your 3 counties, then you basically regulated this business out of business. Okay, but because your neighbors allow it, you can have that sort of blanket regulation, but even in Nemaha, that's why in Nemaha, when they said, well, how do we do this? I think you have to have a conditional use process. So what you're saying here is, you have on the solar, you've already got the plan, you said you're at, now you're looking at solar. Okay. You're saying these are the 3 or 4 things there, and I think having issued conditional use process, that you recommend you put allowed in the state statute. As part of that, you come up, think of it like, this is my condition, you considered all my conditions. If you don't comply, you don't get the configuration. That's basically what it is in the sentence. That's why you have it. And the other reason why you have it is you want to make findings when you do a conditional use permit that says this all complies with the public health, safety, and welfare rule. 14 different things that are outlined in what the case called the golden factor. Okay, it's not the golden rule, it's the golden factor. And if you look at gold factors and you find me on sheet of paper. Right, the courts almost 100% of the time follow your findings and your problem. Okay, but if you don't follow the gold factors and say the Kansas in the condition. I'm sorry, I sound like it. That's one.
So who, the county would have to define the parameters for a conditional use permit, right? You don't just do that on the fly.
No, you don't, well, what you do though is you have recommendations, so I'll show you what. On my.
You got some,
On my screen here. I'll say. I'll show you quickly on what it looks like in how it's work. We're still not adopted yet, this is all. Okay, as many caveats as you have. But land development code basically. If you go to the condition of use. You go down here, there's some definitions that don't put in there. You have to have them, okay? But basically what it says is. These are the things that they're even thinking about having in the conditional use. Okay, there's a list of 5 or 6. The operation of slaughterhouse. Sanitary landfills for hazardous waste. Commercial energy. Airports.
ethanol refineries, power substations. maybe?
Yep, ethanol refinery, power substation. Rock quarries. And detentions, those 60. Okay, those are basically what they're looking at, they're saying. You can see. 7. Some of those things aren't gonna make the final list if I had to guess. Really and truly, what they're saying is that they come through and there's a process in here. That says, there's a bunch of definitions that you just have in there to find. Then you get down here to. What a. Conditional use process. And basically what it says is. This is the provision you part of the real relevant. Says that you can have them where they're at. It allows for things. Then it says that you have to go, and basically what they do is they have to provide the thing that Pat's requesting, they gotta provide a drainage plan and a disaster response plan and commission. They provide it all, their cost. Okay? And then the planning commission and the county commissioners evaluate that. And they determine based off of the recommendations from professional engineers and those people that the applicant pays for. They determine based off of those recommendations, what conditions should be added to this conditional use. So the way that it happens is that you say, look at this. Like, let me give you an example of what happened elsewhere on a totally different unrelated issue. Cell tower. Okay, under some federal law, you have to allow cell towers that you can attach in conditions. Well, the cell tower they wanted to build in a specific community, city of South Hutchinson. They wanted to make sure they thought it was important that the cell tower was far enough away from the state highway that if it got going on a tornado, people wouldn't get hurt. And the developer of it said, oh, it's designed to collapse in place. And they said, we're not sure about that. I think it should be so that if it falls over, then it's okay. So you can't plan for that up front. What they said was, well, there's a place on the property that if you just force them to push it back to the back edge of the property to the front edge, it won't fall on the highway. So that was one of the conditions, is that this needs to be located on this person's ground far enough away from the highway when it falls. Another condition that came up was they wanted to go on ahead and potentially install it within like 1.5 miles of existing communication infrastructure for the city. And so the city said, well, we got our Motorola tower stuff repeat up on one of you, you're gonna put that out of business. And that's where we have our stuff, so we need to go on and allow us to put our stuff on there as well, so that we have communication. But that's an extreme example, but they put that into a special use permit, adopted, and it's good. So what you do is you sit down and you say, the way it comes in, the applicant makes their application. They pay the fees. They pay for the professional outsiders to look at it and say, what are the conditions necessary to make this open? Then the governing body takes that advice and especially from commission. They then say, these are gonna be the conditions that come in. They adopt it and you move on, or you don't adopt. The other good part about the conditional use, boy, I talked a long time. But the other good part about the conditional use permit is when you make the findings on a conditional use permit, those findings are given a lot of deference by a court of review. Okay, so if you say, hey, this is 4, and this is the findings you have to make right here. There's 6 or 7 factors. I can't do it upside down, but you can look at them, but you can't see them off of this anyway. Because it's too small. But what happens is that you you're going ahead and make a finding that it's not adverse to the public health, safety, and welfare, that it's good aesthetics wise or otherwise. That could be one of the things, or maybe aesthetics don't matter. Depending on where you're at.
Which is the reason we've done a bunch of these communication towers. When you go through counties that like really have a set of standards, you'll notice the towers look like trees
That's right.
instead of a tower.
Yep.
Because their conditional use permit says in our county, we think it's unsightly to have a tower, so therefore, if you're gonna build a tower in our county, it's gonna look more like a tree, or it's gonna look like a windmill, or you'll notice.
You're very patient, Mr. Testori. I went for, you could have interrupted me at any time.
No, I'm just
But-
saying, that's.
Yeah.
That's exactly why you see counties that seem to really have the higher standards.
Yeah.
In their conditional use permits, they're pretty lengthy.
And in the end, when you have it, it's really a way that you dialogue. The real reason why you have the conditional use permit, like the towers are the best example. Under federal law, you have to allow the towers. Okay, but if you don't have conditions, third thing that they asked for was a removal bond. Just like we're doing with the decommissioning stuff here. The removal bond's important because the removal bond is what says, hey, don't leave this in place. 20, 30 years ago, they would just, and they still do, they throw up the towers when they don't need them for technology. It's third-party leasing companies, they throw them up. And then they don't have a bond to remove them. So we started to say, hey, give us a $30,000 bond so that we could force you to turn it down, tear it down, okay? And by doing that, you have some control over the end of the project in the beginning. So that's really the goal. So yeah, you put a process in place for conditional use, and then you set up some standards for review. That's a good advice. That's a good idea.
So are you saying you, with a conditional use permit, you can vary which is make the conditions to meet the present needs?
That's right.
Okay, so then devil's advocate,
Mhm.
sounds like backdoor zoning to me,
Backdoor what?
zoning.
In a way, what it is yes. It's not backdoor zoning, it's front door zoning. You already have zoning. Your zoning is, you're not backdooring anything. This county has one zoning, right?
A conditional use policy, we get specific, on what that entails. I mean, when you said like poultry. so-
Right.
So the antennas go up when I hear livestock operation. you know,
Yeah.
Poultry, that's what that is, commercial chicken feeders, basically.
Yep.
That might not sit so well.
So I wouldn't recommend that. And as somebody that right now is working through a commercial poultry operation, I don't want to be regulated either.
Okay.
Under the laws of the state of Kansas, you can't regulate zoning for agricultural purposes. You can't regulate ag.
Okay.
So this is, it's not backdoor zoning, it is front door zoning, but to make sure what it is it is the least restrictive way when they're talking about a conditional use permit. So what your conditional use process could say
is this doesn't apply for any use. Every other use is permitted, absolutely, we don't touch it.
Mhm.
With the exception of solar. Okay, and then it says, these are the conditions if you want to be a solar user. So it's the same type of front door zoning reg that goes specifically after wind
Okay.
and solar.
So
And that's
then-
what's, yeah.
So then with the conditional use permit,
Mhm.
does that take care of the site size is limited not larger than 12 acres and it must be at least 15 miles apart?
Yep.
That doesn't need to be in the resolution?
No, that would be in there because what you're doing right now is an in-between. I'm still pulling up his comments, but when he said that I would recommend doing potentially a conditional use permit, that's what a conditional use permit process is.
Okay.
Okay, but what you're saying right here is, this is like in between. This is, what you're saying is that right here, they've got to provide these 4 plans. And then you could add that one other provision in there. And say, those are the 4 things that they have to, but basically, when he's saying, hey, you might want to consider a conditional use permit. It's because when they come through, you could require additional things. Does
Okay,
that make sense?
so do we need to put that language, conditional use permit in the resolution somewhere?
I probably would, I would say, why don't you let me talk to Pat? See what he's thinking about on the conditional use stuff.
Would you be all right with that? I mean, you did all this work.
Yeah.
I hate to.
Are you sure? Cause I'm happy to, I can talk to Pat and find out what. Cause I do think that there's, another thing that they have the wind energy fund over in Nemaha. Okay, that comes off of it. So if one of these things comes through, like for solar, somebody's gonna install it. You can require under a conditional use, like that they pay certain money to go on ahead and offset secondary effects or whatever. You get more control over those things when you have a conditional use permit process that attaches.
Okay, so who put this resolution together?
Is that Pat?
Patrick did it, okay, all right, well
And I
then,
can
That was based off of the comments that we give him, which got
Sure.
further down. Break down each area, you know,
Oh.
setbacks, size,
Mhm.
fencing,
Mhm.
all that.
And you might, everybody, so they know, just so you know who you're dealing with on the zoning aspect of it. Pat Hughes lives in, if he lives about around where I used to think that he lives in Leon, Kansas. Which is out in unincorporated area outside of, Butler County. Okay, so he is rural ag, he's got a farm. You're talking to a 5th generation farmer, nobody's wanting to regulate agriculture, this is not a zoning exercise, this is literally solar and wind. How do
Okay,
you, yeah,
when you brought up your examples, you listed some different things, but that was just Nemaha County.
they wanted to go there.
Okay,
Which I don't see why anybody here would wanna go, and I don't think in the end, those examples that they went to, I don't think they're gonna end up going there. But those are things they considered, so wind and solar would be all I would think.
so then on section 3 fencing, when it says all project perimeters shall be secured with fencing of the type and design approved by the county. Does that mean the county, to make this plan effective, the county needs to have an approved fencing type
No,
documented? We don't need anything like that?
you do it when the project.
Okay,
But also, last week, we kind of touched on where we think we want to go and having a set of standard drawings and plans and specs for the county. You might, if we are able to put that forward, there might be a section in there that talks about fencing that is acceptable to the county.
Yes, and I do think that if you had those plan specs, the more that you can do with plan specs like that and hand it off to the, better off you are. Cause you're not,
okay,
like, you'll see this stuff. They put this stuff in all different types of environments, okay? There's good, bad, and ugly for and against it, but the reality is that you wanna have the right type of fence for the area with specs that go in and then just deliver it off.
okay.
What I do.
Okay, so if I understand this right, this is the document we started with. We're gonna ask some questions.
For Pat, yeah, and that's
You're gonna
fine.
ask some questions, and I guess probably be in communication with the planning commission once you find some things out.
Yeah, I'll give you my card. I mean, literally, I've known Pat for 20 years, so we.
And I didn't introduce you to it. It happens fast here. Bill Bonner, this is our new county council. In Austin Parker. He brought donuts the first time he came to the meeting. I'm sorry you missed. You didn't bring him today.
Just have Pat give me a call and whatever he's recommending on the conditional use, we can chat it through.
Okay,
So, and we were gonna bump this anyway to get our three
right.
man commission going. So I do appreciate
Okay.
everything you've done there. It looks like good stuff. We just got a few questions and maybe it's just fine the way it is. But we'll check.
I'll visit with him.
Okay.
There's nothing that says that you can't do this. That's the one thing, because if people are listening, like, is there something that says you can't do this? No. What he's suggesting is, when he suggested maybe consider a conditional use. That is, I'm gonna ask him what he's thinking about on the conditional use side. And the broad question, what's a conditional use? We answered that. How do you use it and what the benefits are? So we'll find out what he wants. Okay?
Yeah, so what you guys done, I agree with.
Okay.
You said, there's so many things in here. Like the 12 acres and 15 mile. My question was, do they need to be in a resolution too? Or like you were saying?
We'll find that out. And we addressed, you said something about site, what was that? Decommissioning and putting it back to exactly the way it was. And does that mean, like topsoil?
It just means that as good or better is that's a really common spec of construction.
Sure.
You don't want it to be subjective,
Uh-huh.
right? When that happens, you want it. You've got pictures of the site before they started and the conditions of the site, and that's what we're expecting. You're exactly right. They come in and they strip the topsoil, right? And then they come in later and decommission this thing and you have no topsoil, well, it would be expected that topsoil would be brought back in and replaced, so it was the way they found it.
My experience with, I'm sorry.
Then in section 4, they kind of cover that with the decommissioning part.
Okay. My experience with solar is really just what I've read and some of these sites that have been hailed on and it shatters and breaks, that
Right.
actually that stuff can be toxic and it can be a real mess. So is that addressed in here somewhere too, or do we need to get that specific?
Yeah, you do. That's why he's saying, probably suggesting a conditional use
Okay,
permit.
okay,
'cause I
all right.
think-
Back
What
to
you-
the same thing. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, you're not. Sorry. You don't need to be sorry. The reality is that you've got the disaster response plan, emergency shutdown, decommissioning plan.
Okay.
If you need to have this stuff in there. And also like stuff, no solar energy conversion project shall be located within 1 mile of any existing public airstrip. I've seen them within a mile of a public. And there's reasons why. I mean, like that'll come up. What if the sun comes out and it interferes with sight to so like, yeah, all this stuff, when he's saying you might consider a conditional use, there's good reason.
Okay, well, right on. Well, we've got some good questions here. We're gonna find out some more information. But I do appreciate all the legwork you've done up until this point. And I guess while you're here, so I hear on the radio yesterday about these very same issues in Nemaha County and Donovan County. Donovan County evidently passed something, at least according to KNZA radio,
Right.
about battery centers, data centers. I forget what else, but they're looking at different.
Too, I think.
Okay, they're
Yeah.
looking down the road. So I'm not sure how that falls in with our comprehensive plan, that survey and everything we took. But maybe you're, or that the community took to get the results. Would it be all right? What do you think to have to task them with looking at other things, or what are your feelings on that, Bill?
Oh, in the past, I was always against them. Period. But then these other issues that are coming up. That weren't here 40 years ago. Are troubling. Oh. Yeah, some of that stuff. Probably worse than some of this stuff. Right.
So could we authorize planning commission to at least do some real, excuse me, research, preliminary research on that? Maybe at least see what Donovan County did, see what they did.
Okay.
Would that be all right?
They won't do, yes, I mean. When I started, I heard nobody wanted to win, that was a big issue then. Right. And I didn't expect it to go any further than that, really, but it appears to be going that way, and that's why we're fearful of zoning in the first place, because where do you draw the line?
It just grows. Yeah.
But it comes down to its quality of life,
Right.
right? And it's so. all of this is trying to protect Brown County in the future from having just a massive, not that it is happening, but making sure that if it is going to happen, that we're ahead of it. And just like what he just said is, even if the planning commission just looked at what the other countries are doing and just reported back, you know.
Yeah, what's the find out?
And if you guys start looking at it, I'm not a, I am a, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, I got 2 law degrees after law school focused on this. Okay, but when I'm looking at it like a farm code. Okay, so when you're trying to figure out how to do more with less on the regulation side, we can have a conversation, because what they're talking about is how are you gonna accommodate data centers and what all this means that are sort of using off-grid or closed grid solutions. And so those data center things, you're right to be looking at it, because there's a lot of money that's gonna get made over the next, and a lot of tax base that's gonna get made over the next 20 years, siphoning off what the new data center technology, so yeah, looking at what that is, that's a very good idea. But we can do it in a way that's, the reason why I'm saying that is, as you guys are looking at it, Pat can help, I can help do it in a way that is not changing what Brown County is. We're still an unregulated area. You're always gonna be an unregulated agricultural area. How do you do this other type of growth that would come in and not have what Commissioner Tessitore was talking about, not have the negative ramifications of it just coming in without some boundaries surrounding it. So that's how I would be, when you're looking at it, how do you support those large projects without changing Brown County?
Okay,
Okay, so I guess just my consensus then, yeah, just go ahead and look into what Doniphan County has done and maybe report back. Would that be all right?
sure.
Okay, you do wonderful work and we don't want you to be out of a job, so we're gonna find something else for you to do.
Well, I got one quick question for you. We were originally just appointed on the appointment letter from the county commission. As we got ready to finalize the comprehensive plan, I brought up that I thought we should have been appointed by resolution. So that was done back in April of 24. And of course, everybody that's been appointed before was appointed on that same day to backfill the others. We did our bylaws for our planning commission, and typically they're a year at a time. So that's the end of December would normally be our last normal meeting, since we meet the first Wednesday of every month. But then just 4 months later, then whoever might get elected might be coming off of the commission. Is there any way that could be changed to where they were appointed like on a calendar year, or does it really make any difference?
So you can do your appointments in a staggered way. Your bylaws are set up. If you have people that are coming on and off the planning commission, the appointments can be, you want them to be staggered. That's where they are.
Right, they're staggered, yes.
So what I would do is, to make it smooth, is I would have people that come to the meetings. If you know you're gonna rotate off, most of the time the planning commission members stay pretty stable. Okay, so we need to ask people if they're not willing to be reappointed, and if they're not, then we can identify people. But most of the time, they're gonna be pretty much, so you just identify when they're gonna come off, but if they're not gonna sit for reappointment, then we need to identify their replacement so they can start coming to meetings to make it smooth. And I think I can look at the bylaws, because I don't know how we're set up. Okay, but we have a lot of flexibility under portions of state statute. I'm pulling that up right now.
I think he's asking, if they are going to be people, that's getting new appointments, so it's in sort of like a calendar.
It all happens at the same time.
I
You still
think
have
they
staggered.
can. I'm looking at it right now.
Yep.
Here it is, 12/7/44. Yep. 12/7/44. Yes. We can change our appointment schedule, so it's on the calendar here. Mhm.
Will we have to do that by resolution?
Yes,
So, so right now we just have, which, is there two members that April thing applies? Help me out here.
There's 7,
There's 7 total,
yeah.
but I thought only a few of them were appointed. Are you saying everyone's appointed in April just on,
Right, but they're
Okay.
staggered.
they're
You know,
staggered,
somebody
everything comes in
gets
April?
2 for 3 years, 2 for 2
Okay.
years and 2 for 1 year.
Okay, and so by resolution, we can change that to December to tie
Yeah.
in with your,
we did that for a bunch of the appointed positions when the elections went from April to November. In a bunch of other communities, so I can help with that. I'm trying hard not to step on Pat Hughes' toes, because Pat Hughes is appointed counsel for the planning commission. At the same time, that's kind of an extra thing. It's something that I got a lot of background in, like I said, I'll try to help
No,
where I
we-
can.
I haven't ever even discussed it with him because
It's totally fine.
it's come in on the solar.
Yeah, and he's a great guy. He's helped us out as we've gone through. It's one of these things, it's in my skill set, so I can easily start to do it. We already have extra outside, but I can talk to Pat about some of these things and how we may want to transition that. You know, it's not something that we have to transition. I like working with Pat, but I can come up, if we're gonna have more of this stuff routinely that comes up, it may make sense for me to sort of serve as zoning. But no, I think it's good. But yeah, we can change that and sort of make that standardize and move it to December. A lot of people did that when they changed to elections. The only reason it was set up originally in April that way is because a lot of our municipal elections ran on the April cycle up until about 7 years ago, and then they changed. A lot of talking out of the turn.
I would say probably the reason it was done that's probably when they started the process, wasn't it? And so you're saying that you would rather have it when like the new commissioners start in January, you'd rather have the new people appoint for the next year.
That way, at the end of the year, why we would know who's going off or who's coming on.
okay,
And it would, the meeting minutes then would be for the complete year.
okay. So Austin, is that something you can put together in
Yeah.
a week, 2 weeks? What do you think?
Give me 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
This is fine. This will be fine. I need to go back to them and say, I need to
Okay.
talk to Pat and see.
Nope.
And I do think if I'm gonna, we'll work out what that relationship looks like long term, because right now Pat's doing a lot of the consulting, but we'll figure out how to, I'll talk to Pat. I'm sure Pat. will.
Okay, and so Nikki, would you put that on work session or somewhere so we don't forget it? There you go. Okay, already done. Okay,
Okay.
wonderful.
Yes.
Thanks a lot,
Thank
really.
you.
Yep.
Really.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
You do good work.
It's nice to meet you, Chairman Bill.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman.
Right. Now, that was the planning commission, took 43 minutes to do that, but it was time well spent. One man's walking out of the room. There is
He's on the phone.
he's on the planning commission, correct, but do you have anything you'd like for the commission?
not observing.
You're observing.
Question,
Okay,
guys were talking about permits. Where do you get a permit?
I would
From
suggest.
you guys, or what?
I would suggest if it's anything like what happens in Nemaha County, no permits. I don't think, we don't, over there, there's no permit that's ever on the table for anything. The only permit that you get other than a special use permit, so what happens is that the special use permit here, like in the example that we were talking about, you would never permit, you know how you think about normally getting like a building permit if you were in a city? Never. Think of a building permit for a structure as a 4-letter word. Never a building. What a special use permit is it is saying, I want to use my site for solar or wind.
Yeah.
And here you've already said no, we've said no wind. Okay, but here they're saying, okay, maybe you could use the site for solar. So before you could use your site for solar, for a large solar operation, you have to get a permit which says you could use your site for solar.
Who issues the permit?
So that would be the county commission.
Okay.
And the way that and I'd have to talk about this with Pat, again, I'm not trying to step on toes. Okay, but over in Nemaha County, the costs for like engineering review and all that stuff, that's on the permittee, the one that's wanting to apply for it. So we don't spend any money at the county level, right? So the idea is they pay for all those specialists and all that crap to look at. But yeah, no, the idea is in the once or twice that it may ever come up for solar, they would pay for all those costs up front for review. And then the county commission would look at it and decide whether they wanted to issue. Yep.
Because the person issuing a permit can have unspeakable power, you know what I'm saying? They can say, no, we're not gonna do that.
I think the word,
Personality, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
that's,
how is that regulated?
the permit is the bugaboo word there. I mean,
so, yeah, so what it is there's standards underneath state law that
Okay.
says. So I've been on both
Okay.
sides. I've been on the defense side and on the
Okay.
plaintiff side,
Yeah.
like on behalf of a user. Where they say, hey, we want this permit, so you gotta follow the law.
Right.
That's it, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Got it? Okay, right on. I guess now, in the absence of any more public comment, because we did kind of run out of time there, we will none, we'll roll on. The first item on our agenda is number 1 there, the minutes from October 6th. Are there any additions or corrections or comments to the minutes? And so your last name, I've discovered, is pronounced many different ways by many different
You
people.
never noticed that.
Okay, I'm sure you haven't. So Tesserero is how I say it. Am I correct?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm not calling, it's nothing.
No,
but
I've messed
What I
up.
want to make sure is, that it's, because I have this in my phone, but I'm sure it's spelled right. Tesoriero. Okay, all right, wonderful, wonderful. So we're going to get you a little plaque right there and then have that. So are there?
TESOR.
Right there in the minutes.
I know.
Tesserero. And that wasn't calling you out, Mr. Parker. I just.
No, I'm sorry. I was,
I've heard it Tessadero, Tessadoro, it's just some, different ones, so it's fine.
Tesoriero.
Tesserero. Tesserero.
I'll never get it right.
Bill,
Know who you're talking.
did you have any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented?
I didn't.
Okay. So you want to make a motion to
I'll
approve?
probably accept the minutes from.
Okay, I'll second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. Next is accounts payable from the 13th October. For today, I guess. So one of the things we talked about or we mentioned last meeting was, and this comes from you, is this 2-week look ahead or at least communication. And it was, I'm pretty sure I read this right. It was under the janitors and it was a $4,000 expenditure for some steps. So that's, when I look at it, it's page 12 and it's J&B Contractors. And it's $44,432 for steps. Where did those go? Where are the news? Just right out here, just right out front. Okay. Okay, I had no idea that was happening, but if we had that thing, we would know. So and Bill mentioned that, I think 2 weeks ago or last, maybe we ought to get in touch with our custodians here just to see what they're thinking and what.
And so what's the deal? You didn't walk on the west side or the east side of the courthouse, but what's the deal going over there?
I don't know, I haven't seen it. What's happening?
Well, they've evidently dug a trench, they got poles going up.
It's just pretty from line and stuff over there.
Lights? Okay,
And I kind of like to know what's going on before it
yeah,
happens.
reasonable. Sure. Okay. All right. Did you have any questions on accounts payable? Mr. Pollock there?
So on the indicate permits. It was $150, but the landowners reimburse that or do we, the county pay, is it $150 permit? How much?
50.
50, so there's 3 permits. And do the landowners reimburse the county or does the county just pay
I
that?
think the only thing we enforce another, we just pay 50 for them to do the permit. I think we talked about before and I emailed her and gave you the answer. but-
Yeah. I know where before it make budget.
This is with the environmental services.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The 150.
it's all right.
And So we rented a crane, was that for the team down in the Mercier?
My Mercier, he was renting a crane. That was a 70-footer. He couldn't use his equipment to offload it.
That's what I thought it was probably. And then on the postage, if you buying $2,000 for the postage, is that split up between all the departments or?
Everybody uses the post.
Okay, so that goes over.
Yeah.
And then my question, we pay Watco quarterly. Okay, that answers that. And that's all I had. I guess. Did you have any more questions? Okay, you wanna?
Well,
You wanna make
so,
a,
so going back to your steps out here, then there was another charge
oh,
that was, what did that cost over $5,000? So,
on one project?
well, it was paid with the same bill, but it was put in as two bills. So they got paid with the same check, so
Well, let me look. I didn't see that part.
one was 4,000 and one was something like 700 or something.
Oh, okay, so you're looking, there's two different items there. It's concrete steps out here at the courthouse and then concrete at the jail. But yeah, I would have took it to over $5,000. Yeah, well, they had some steps that were in bad repair there too.
So, so how does that come about? When work is performed for the county,
Mhm.
and obviously commissioners are at the price,
We're not,
how does it? What's the genesis of that? That's the right. How did somebody work and do something? Who determines what needs to be done and who determines?
well, that's
What the final product
that's
looks
part
like.
of it. So when we went through our budget process, just say for the custodians, if I can get back there quick, they'll have some project listed
Okay,
in their budget, some things they'd like to do. I think they have concrete in there if my memory serves. Some maintenance, well, I don't see it. No, here it is, miscellaneous cement repair and upgrades. They have $6,000 in their budget.
okay, so it was brought up, it's somebody's looking ahead and saying, we've got this happening in this.
Yeah.
This calendar year, and obviously the amounts are.
So, but as a commission, oftentimes we see things on this side and think, well, yeah, where your genesis word is right.
Right.
Where did that come from? And so that's why we're just asking the question,
Sure.
and
I think I don't think it's right the way we're doing it.
Yeah,
well, it's
There's-
probably not right that we're surprised. I'm not saying I want to be in charge of every little thing around here, but like last week, there was an attachment bought for a lawnmower. It was about $2,300. And, we scratch our head because it was a bagging attachment. Maybe we just needed, maybe we didn't have one, maybe the one we had was broke. I don't know, but that's the thing. I don't know. And you do scratch your head a little bit and wonder, so. Did that answer your question?
it did, and I think going forward, I think we'll look at it maybe a little differently. Is what it sounds like.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We're gonna use your skills to develop some sort of strategies to where we've got a workable plan going forward and plan purchases especially.
Sure.
It'll be nice because the concrete didn't just go bad in one week. That's been there and that, they've been looking at it. And so it'd be nice to know, have a little tighter timeline.
Yeah, and for the record, I mean, I'm just glad that somebody is walking around saying, hey, this concrete's bad and needs to be replaced, so,
Yeah.
Courthouse.
Right.
This courthouse should be the crown jewel of Brown County, correct? So it shouldn't be in disrepair, so it's just a matter of how do we approve what gets done.
Right.
Sure.
I'm not necessarily saying I disagree with what's going on, but yeah, I just like that.
Sure.
Have a little input, little
We're
knowledge.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Somebody calls me up and says, what's going on? I kind of like,
Okay, well, I would, if there's no more questions on the accounts payable, I'd make the motion to approve. Is there a second?
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. Number 3 is a property use agreement with the YW, the Clothesline Project. It's an art exhibit that honors survivors of domestic violence. Survivors decorate T-shirts and they are hung to display their stories. YWCA staff will clean up and set up the exhibit and be present the entire event. Off-site by 3. So this is on the 22nd of October from 10 to 2. And is that it's a Wednesday? That's a Wednesday. So Wednesday, October 22nd from 10 to 2. This is a clothesline project in coordination with the YWCA. Is YWCA, are they in town? I'm not familiar with Atchison, yeah, YMCA, I know.
Going. Yeah,
Okay. Well, I would make a motion to approve the property use agreement.
I got a question. It's gonna be inside or outside?
It's not in there, just assume you're inside, so
It's pretty
Yep.
close.
on the lawn facing Orange Street.
I know.
I made a motion to accept.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. I know. Next is the KDOT reimbursement request for the 270th Street project. Do we need our road and bridge secretary to explain anything? Is she here? Well, you have any questions?
So. My understanding is,
You can go grab Timmy.
well,
Please,
it'll be all right.
please. Yep, she'll know the answers when we have a question.
I thought we'd already had it paid for, but then it started. Kind of seemed like it, so.
Change. Okay, so we left the 5,000 out, then they did the ceiling work, and then we paid it. Yep.
I thought that's what we did last year. We could, we only had 5,000 left.
Right.
Now we say we've got 72,000, but, you know, if that includes the 5,000 or not.
Okay, that's fair.
You know, some of their changes. Even a little bit less than what they had already did.
And then also, we discussed last meeting. And I should have had the county. Should have given you some time. I was sorry for that.
No, you're fine, go for it.
What you had here, I was. Getting my list out, we were going to call and talk to. I thought you were gonna call the engineer.
So I have a meeting, I have some things that I've got
Okay.
status updates
Okay.
on
all
a
right.
number. So I've got, Jeff Ham's contact information just made it to me, so I've got that.
Okay,
I'm working on that. Thank you, Don, for sending that over. Okay, I have, hi, Tammy.
Hi.
You guys talk and then I'll come back.
okay, we're at the KDOT reimbursement request part. Bill has a question.
So. So there's extra $72,000. We haven't paid, what we paid before was $72,000 short yet.
Yeah.
Where's the $5,000 coming from? Is that in the $72,000 or?
Yes,
This is a final payment?
yes,
It's all done.
yes. Because remember you changed the aprons.
Right, and the aprons actually came in, what they had let's see,
Do you need this or do you have it all in your head? Because you're.
No, I don't have
Scroll up if you want, just change whatever you need there. It's.
it's about the next page down. So,
He's looking at a spreadsheet with some blue on it.
128. 128 on that.
Oh, yeah.
So the aprons were priced at 25,000 and they ended up at 18,000.
Okay.
That was a good thing. And gravel and edge was 77,000 and they priced that at the end of 52,000. It was good that we first said we would do that, and then they come back later.
So that was bid. Is that common for a project like that? Is that?
Well, I mean, I don't know how the bid, it was had lineal feet or
It did.
broke down. So, when you do your as-bills and your final quantities, a lot of times those original estimates come down because of the quantities in the field.
Well, good on them for doing it because we signed the bid based on, what they gave us.
Sure.
I think that's what they did. They didn't use as much as they thought.
Sure. And like I said, bids can be
For
done.
some reason. It's
Each bid item can be lineal feet, it can be tonnage, there's just all sorts of different ways to happen. What the final quantity are. If it's lump sum,
Maybe.
like we were talking about before, it's lump sum.
Yeah.
But if it's quantities, then when your guy goes out there and does all your finer measurements, sometimes they go up, sometimes they go down.
And they had it broke down.
Yeah, so.
In the bid.
Okay.
So there's one thing that went
Oh,
up.
here it is.
Next was up 14 tanks.
Yeah. Usually everything is based on estimated quantities at time of bid. And those go up or down.
So the 270th Street project with this final payment,
Should be done
Should be
because
done.
I got the final bill from Brady on it also, which
Okay.
is 15. So,
and the state,
and it says final.
the state reimbursement thing, is that all? That's all done.
I've sent them in, but I haven't received it yet.
So we will have word in a week or two then.
Yes,
Okay.
we should.
So do these bids, when you're making progress payments, I'm assuming there's progress payments on this, or is it just one lump sum at the end?
We've paid, this is the third
Okay,
bill,
so do you
the
guys,
final.
do we hold or withhold retention on these jobs?
We did a little.
They had retainage.
They do have retained.
Is it 10%?
I have no idea. I did my first time.
You
that-
know the,
5%.
or the other ones,
5%?
the old one.
So I did look that, like, if you look at the consultants agreement that, and I've got a meeting with Brady on, I've got a list of items I can go over in a moment, but I've got a meeting, and looks like the engineer's set of forms. You know how they all have their own,
Sure.
so they're not running off the AIA, but they're running off the engineering set.
Okay.
So standard conditions are pretty consistent with that. I think they've got some retainage in here. I mean, it looks like they're running off of that, but I don't know at what level
Do
things are.
do you understand retainage?
The only time
Why
we
they
use-
do it?
Yeah, sure, yeah. You'll finish the project, they're correct, what?
Correct, and a lot of projects will also have that you can reduce the amount of retainage after the project's a certain percentage done. That way, you know, if the contractor's been in the job, he's making 10%, you're holding 10%, he gets no profit till the end. So sometimes they'll say at a certain point, we'll only withhold 5% for the rest of the project. But at the end of the project, if it's there, then there should be a final retention payment. And then that would bring the contract to 100%.
Well, I remember using the word retainage, it meant all this $5,088. So, and that was to get the ceiling work done, where we had that question below.
So. I'm not sure where the $72,000 come from. Is that because of some of the costs, did that, I didn't add up to see if the cost.
Was 72,000, is that retainage? Or that was, no. Oh, you said the aprons and that was the apron that we added, that wasn't part of the. When we actually originally signed it, because our guys were gonna do it and we didn't have.
Right. But that, yeah, so originally in the bid, it was 77,000. And then after they actually did it, it was 52,000.
Okay, so this thing, and we need to approve this. So we are paying the $72,448. And then that takes, we're done on this project and everything lines up, all the numbers. They look like the numbers I've been seeing the whole time, so. Any more questions? I'd make a motion then that we approve this KDOT reimbursement request for the 270 Street project. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carried. All right, thanks for coming in. See, we had questions and we just knew we would think of the questions. That's why we called you in, so. All right, appreciate all this. It's quite a bit of legwork here, but it's done and I got actually a couple of phone calls about how nice that road is, but in the same paragraph. Why do we have to drive so slow? So, that's.
But I told you what I said and to them,
Yeah. Yeah,
and that was. She still wasn't happy, but she kind of understood, I think.
yeah.
I got one call that was rather upset. But she was concerned about her children have to use a highway that cross 75 highway. So she's concerned about their safety, so you can go on our road, and I told her it was only 3.5 miles, difference between 55 and 45 is only about 40 or 52 seconds. So it doesn't have to slow you down too much.
Yeah.
That's what people don't get. You're really not
And,
saving that much time to go 10 miles or
and,
more
so,
per hour.
so the speed limit signs are up. And the only thing like I told you earlier, we need a little sign that goes under that one intersection that says 30 miles per hour, something. Just for that one intersection, where you come up over the hill and it's right there real close. It's 15 miles less than the speed limit, but it's just for that intersection.
Okay.
In my opinion, we need to keep working on that, because it's not a very busy intersection, but it is.
So
Can't see it.
would you like to slow the traffic down, or could we put a blind intersection type sign up too, just to give them a little warning?
Well, I think that's sign will give them a warning that it is, the intersection sign is already there. And you just.
So there is, okay,
And you
dangerous
just-
intersection or something?
No, they say you can't put a dangerous intersection up, I was in your maintenance thing.
Dangerous, okay,
So
all right.
just a little sign, it's below the intersection sign on the same post. We've got others in the county like that. So,
So my response to the phone calls was, as commissioners, we're looking in ways to make our roads, make traffic safer. And slower doesn't always mean safer, but as a general rule, it does. Slower means safety. And then, as part of our safety push, we need to try and stretch county resources as far as we can. And if we can slow traffic down, we should get more longevity out of our roads. So our job as a commission is to get that message out and get the word out, what we're trying to do. It's not, I'm not trying to slow everybody down because I just want everybody to drive slow, get off my lawn type stuff. It's just, there's a reason behind this, and we just got to do a better job of getting that communication out.
and so I also tried to explain that the county, I think they're worried about. In my past, my first impression was, give a speeding ticket, the county's gonna collect the money off of it. I told her that's not the case, the state collects the money off of it, and that seemed to alleviate some of her concerns of, like, we weren't just out there trying to collect fines to pay for the road. But
Yeah, well, that's true, though. I mean, that's a good point, because if you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
And the county keeps very little of any speeding ticket. If you,
she said she was glad that, I think she was better off,
so that
better about it after I talked to her.
that road project, we learned a lot on that.
Yeah.
And
and
I did, we learned a lot, and some of the things I think we're gonna take home are, we need to have, like, you question with the power poles and just the right of way with utilities. Now, Mr. Parker's on that, maybe we can get, we can have a policy in place that we don't have power poles, that close to the road. Just certain things, and it,
Right, it seems to me, I talked to the guy in Prairie View, like, they think they have the right to put them anywhere in the right of way they want. Without asking
Well, and-
permission,
and-
basically.
currently they may have, but
Yeah.
if we can tighten that up, then we need to have some
A
involvement.
lot of times it takes a meeting in the field with a planner, for instance, Evergy,
Yeah,
and go out to the site. And basically say, hey, can we have an understanding here? I got a call from somebody last week asking about that. Power poles being too close to a radius of the intersection, and they're having trouble with bigger equipment.
yeah,
And so, a meeting with a planner to discuss it and say, what can we do to help this out? Because as you know, you can hit it right on the head. Power companies have a lot of power. They can do a lot of things, but if you can resolve it and you can explain what we're
Sure.
running up against, because they don't want their poles damaged either.
right,
So
right.
it's just a meeting of the minds and see if we can come up with something saying, the size is getting
Sure.
bigger, this is what we're having, and if we can avoid at all cost. A pole within so many feet of the, beginning of turn radius or end of turn radius, then it's gonna help everybody.
Yeah, in my experience, companies like that, they want to work with. the
Yeah,
landowner.
exactly, they do not want outages.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's.
We just got to do a better job of communicating, and
Yes,
we got to have some sort of
That's
stance.
some things we can work on is doing a meet and greet on some of these. I asked for a location from the person who called. Said, can you give me a specific location? So I could go out and
Yeah,
kind of take a look at it. But the idea is to work together with these people, not fight.
you're on the list. People are calling you already. I like it. Okay, is there anything else while you're here that you'd like us to know?
I don't believe so.
So I got one question. So you read, you got the boxes off there, did you?
What?
You took those boxes we had out there checking the traffic. Did you look at the results in there?
I downloaded them, I haven't.
Okay. Analyze them.
When you had, so you took a day off last week. How did that work as far as filling in on the service in the elderly side? Did that all work pretty smooth?
Linda came in and worked in the morning in the office. And then she also can get the phone calls in the afternoon.
Okay.
So, and she said the afternoon was quiet.
So if you had to grade it, would you give it A, F, what, B? Room for improvement? Whatever. I don't know. I'm just reaching.
It wasn't anything about Linda filling in, it was just me being gone.
Okay,
You know, today I spent all morning on catching up with,
are you seeing ways you can make that better?
yeah,
Okay. Okay,
Yes.
I like it. You're a
Because-
go-getter.
there has to be a different way to do it. The hot meals list is the one thing that I'm struggling with, because they printed out a list every week, but then as they get changes throughout the week, they just write on the list. And to me, that's not very,
So do we have any authority as commissioners, to do anything to help you make like things like that better? I mean, is there anything we need to do to,
no, I just have to figure it out.
okay,
I just have to figure out a new solution to
Okay.
it.
well, you're working on it, I'm sure.
I am.
Okay. Well, it's a big adjustment. I just thought I'd ask the question at great personal risk because I didn't know the answer. And you never know. So, but if there's something we can do to make it better, just let us know. Okay,
I have a number of announcements really quickly, and then I'm gonna have to go, I think, in a minute, if that's okay.
absolutely.
So I did review the BG agreement for routine inspection. It looks great.
Okay.
Okay, I've already got a meeting with Brady for this coming Wednesday at 9 a.m. in the morning for about 35 minutes. So we're gonna talk over this, but also what the future of the secondary bridge conversation, terms and conditions for FAS 51. Okay, what that would look like. I'm not gonna screw up your last name again.
Tesserero.
Tesserera.
That's it.
Commissioner Tesserera, I'm gonna, if you wanna send me your email address, I think you may have already. I saw that. I'm gonna try to copy you on that invite, so you're more than welcome to come. Okay, to that, which I think would be great for 9 on a Wednesday at 9:30. On Tuesday, I have a meeting with Evergy, their field soups on what's going on with that. And so that's gonna happen on Teams. I've reached out I got the contact information from Don Towns during the meeting for Han. So I've reached out on GM contract, how do we get that finalized? So I don't know when, but I asked for a meeting on Wednesday or Thursday. And so the termination clause on the landfill, I've reached out on that. Those were my primary to-do list items for the week. And then also I got that. And then there was one other item that I was gonna come and I think see you about afterwards. I'm not exactly sure what that was yet. But I'm gonna have to run.
Okay,
You wanna just call me? You have my number, right?
yes.
Okay, just call me on that. And then from there. I think we're good. Anything else for me, guys?
You meet with Brady about the bridge,
That's the one I'm gonna meet with him on Wednesday at 9.
and you're gonna be there.
Yep.
So I had you factored in for year 1 week Zoom.
Yes,
Is that still the plan?
that's still the plan, but when I'm here, because I'm here right at the moment, we're gonna shift to, probably meeting every other week at some point next year, maybe late this year at Nemaha, but if I can, I'm gonna get over here.
Okay.
Okay, if there's any way that I can, I'm gonna try to.
And the 1 o'clock is working.
Yes, it is.
Okay, good.
Is that okay still?
Working for us.
That's working great for me. I was a couple minutes ahead of, but,
You? Okay.
anything else for me at the moment?
Do we need to set a county council time in the agenda for you to give you something?
Yeah, you could if you want, maybe either before or as an agenda item or before the agenda items go. I could do that before the agenda items, give you guys a rundown on what I know, and then you guys can take that action information.
I'd like to give you some set time. Last week I did pretty good getting you in there, but this week I'm at the end.
No, it's fine. But
I'm sorry.
no, it's
I
fine.
just, we put you on the agenda we usually give 15 minutes for county personnel. Would you
No.
want to be on at 1:15 then, or do you want to be on at 1:30? What do you think?
Either way,
Set time?
yeah, either way, I can do 1:30 or 1:15. That way, 1:15 is
simple.
fine, yeah, and then that way I would just be here. Give the information, and then the reason I like that is, it's gonna give me time to go over my input on the agenda items, so that
Okay.
way you have all that if questions were to arise, so I can go through the agenda items then.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. 15 minutes sounds great.
That's a simple thing we can do to make it a little more streamlined, and then I won't just get about you, so,
No, you're fine.
all right. And at some point, we can take a look at that letter, bring it back in 2017. Yeah, we've sent some other things your way, I believe, that you're looking at. Did you give him a copy of that?
No, I didn't.
I didn't know if there was a.
Procedure we wanted to follow to do that.
That's a letter that we got. We don't have to be mysterious. It's the dispatch agreement with the
Correct.
city.
Correct.
Yeah. And so our new almost commissioner would like to hand you that, Austin, to have you read that over sometime. If
Sure.
you're feeling overwhelmed, because I gave you some stuff too, and you've got a lot of stuff.
No, I've read the stuff that you've given me. I have thoughts on that. We'll talk about that another time.
Yeah,
And I can read that too, the dispatch agreement. There's some things in there and I did have a good conversation with the sheriff on some of what we're doing with dispatch. With another community we're working through and what that means. So
okay,
that's timely. That's a
So-
timely conversation.
right on. And so you can, if you'd like, you can just
Sure.
give it to him. And what I'm trying not to do, Austin, is you came in here to be our county council, and we're just throwing the entire
No,
book of regulations at you. And
I understand. No.
I don't mean to do that.
No. I think, no, it's good. I'll tell you when I get to a point where
Okay,
we're there. Could you retext me? Cause I'm looking through here for some reason.
Yes.
I know you sent it, but
okay.
no, it's here. Thank you, Commissioner.
Well, you're doing a wonderful job. I appreciate it.
Can I get another card?
Yes.
I think your card is in the truck.
No, let's just do that.
Okay, so next Monday then, on the 20th is our regular meeting. I'll look for you in person again.
Yes, I'm gonna be here in person as much as possible. There's a couple of weeks in November where I have to travel,
Okay,
so I'll be soon.
okay.
But other than that,
Well, the Zoom format works too. Some people feel obligated, and I'm not chasing you away, but if Zoom ever works better for you, just do it.
Well, thank you so much. And it's good for me. The flexibility in November is gonna be good because I gotta travel a bit for
Okay,
work.
right on. Well, we try to be very accommodating, don't we, Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Okay, well, moving on then, item number 5, I have, you got something?
Can I skip over here a bit? And I don't know if we need advice or not, but
Sure.
on the liability insurance and snow removal, is there anything that we should know about? Any dangers of going that way?
But no, on the snow removal side, the Kansas Tort Claims Act says that if you're doing it in a reasonable fashion, that you have a level of insulation.
And then we was talking about hiring an outside firm to do.
That's fine. As long as they're doing it reasonably, you're asking for their reasonable, ask for them to come in with million limits. If we can get million limits.
So also, one of the things I'm trying to do is we reach out and find people to be on that list, and people that have years of experience running heavy equipment, that's their job. And so in the unlikely event we had a problem, then we're not hit with, well, this person doesn't have the experience to be doing this. You can go back and say they've been operating heavy equipment 20 years. This is what they do. So it shows that we're actually trying to protect the public by being selective in who we put.
You're absolutely right to do that. I think also, I'm just gonna say kudos to our new commissioner and the work of this commission to figure out how to do more with less and to streamline, because if you look at areas of operation where they do this, you're gonna find a lot better result long term. And so the idea, yes, we haven't done this here before, but we can take a chance and figure out how to make that work. I think that's right. And so this fits into that. How do you have redundancy? And how do you also have somebody that shows this is your experience level, this is why I have the bona fide to be able to do this. So I think that's wise. I think what you're looking to do is well.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you don't let me leave. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
No problem. I will try to see you in person next week.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, item number 5 is the kneecap board appointment. A letter here that says every year the commissioners appoint Jim Scherer to serve on our board of directors. He'd like to be reappointed. Any questions or comments about that?
I have no problem with that.
Hey, you want to make a motion then?
We appoint Jim Scherer as Brown County to the ECAP mobile board of
They all second it. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. That's off. Now the K-Camp property list. All right.
So. He's talking about liability insurance on the Historical Society museum and stuff. So I did, since K-Camp went separated out, thought I'd go talk to some other insurance agents and see what they did. So first one I went to was Farm Bureau, because they just happened to be on the street first. Partly, I found out that the Historical Society already has liability insurance with the Farm Bureau. So, but they wouldn't. They didn't think they could sell it to us, I think. That was the first person I talked to. And then so I went and talked to the SBS people, Randy Martin. She talked about additional insured for owners or lessors being written on there. That might be a possibility. So I went back to the Farm Bureau and they said, yeah, I could probably do that.
Okay.
So it looked to me like the county could be covered with liability on the buildings with just being added on to their policy. The way I
As an
understood.
additional insurer
Yeah,
to the Historical Society's policy, you do not. Did he give you any paperwork and they give you any explanation documents or anything?
no, like I said, it wouldn't have. It's kind of minimal cost, it wouldn't have huge amount.
Okay, so Nikki, you said something about this property list needs to be submitted by Wednesday. So do we still have coverage through the end of the year? Yeah. Okay, so then if we can get added on as an additional insured. Would it stand to reason to go with the Historical Society's provider or just? Or do we need to put that up some sort of bid?
Yeah, they just go with them and then do we even, so. Do we need, you need any insurance on all these buildings? I mean, that's a, K camp won't separate it out. How do we? What, I mean, to me, that's. And some of those. They have umpteen buildings and one gets damaged, are you gonna come up?
So my experience with that is insurance is like legalese when you read the contract. You can read it 2 times and go, what did that just say? So if, I mean, I think what you did is great. You're doing the groundwork. And if we were going to possibly look at changing, then we get one of those companies in and we would give them some scenarios, run them through some scenarios. And say, what happens if this was to happen? How will we cover it? What happens if this was to happen? And just make sure that we're all on board. We know what we're being covered for. But I think it's a great idea to pursue that. I've always just kind of had to do a breakdown with them, almost like a bid review, just to get it in our head, what we're actually getting. You know, if certain events happen. So maybe that's something we plan to do.
So in our old property list, that spreadsheet, it had the prices. What's the new, I mean, we did change a lot of the values here. Vehicles. Property. You know, like the courthouse. In 2025, the valuation was a little over $10 million. And it cost us $36,662 for insurance here. But that covers the building, almost $900,000 in contents. And forgive me here, but I'm not sure what the acronym EDP stands for. It's listed as an acronym on both of these spreadsheets. And we only carry it on the law enforcement center, the health department, and the courthouse. Every other is a zero. I'm just not, we carry $375,000 for the. Okay, but in the new, the adjustment, everything was reappraised. Now the courthouse is valued at a little over $12 million, $12,196,000. Contents stay roughly the same at 892,000, but this EDP charge.
Your electronic data process.
There you go. Okay, electronic data.
Processing insurance.
Okay, all right. Good for you. The power of Google. Okay. Okay, so then we raised our coverage there from 375,000 to $495,000 on the electronic stuff, but I don't see a cost adjustment. I just assume it will be more. So there you go. Electronic data process. And that makes sense why it's there, because it would be, yeah. The jail, the health department. Okay, so for today's business though, we've decided that we are comfortable no longer having property insurance on the auditorium. At a cost of, last year it was valued at $6.7 million. And it cost us $21,200 for insurance, for property insurance and liability. Next year, it's valued at $8,146,000. So when I just assume this 21 goes up to a 23 or 24 because the asset went up 1.5 million. That's just basic math. So are we comfortable as a commission removing that, but carrying liability to this, what do you call it? Additional insurance.
How soon do we have to make that decision?
So today,
Okay.
because she submits the property list to K-CAM on Wednesday. So I guess the spoiler alert, we budgeted for not putting insurance on that bill. Okay.
So. Don't worry about all these other properties that are. On that, so it's right.
Okay, so this is the part where if you look at these numbers on this on the spreadsheet that has the prices,
You said they're not very much.
they are surprisingly reasonable compared to what I know I pay for insurance like here, but things have changed. So in 2024, we've got the office at the Ag Museum, excuse me, at 2025, we have the office at the Ag Museum valued at 101,000. In 2026, it's 245,000. So in 25, we paid $323. So if we more than double that, we're looking at around, say, $700 in coverage. So these numbers are going to definitely go up.
So when you submit the numbers, then they'll come back and give us a bill.
No, once they didn't work that, so no changes, like they won't prorate anything, it's what they. For this for the year.
So, I mean, okay, so the equipment, this Olchin building is listed. Last year it was 65,000. This year, 251,000.
Which building is that?
The Olchin building equipment, the Olchin building. They've really increased the values of these things.
The one insurance person told me that they kind of actually insure for the replaceable value now.
That's what they're doing. That's the policy that's changed. It's affecting so many people in these small towns, absolutely.
Yeah, the Bruning buildings, oh my, the Bruning building in 25, number one was 33,725. In 26, it's 251,400.
Can't really afford to do that.
Well, in 225, it costs us $108. So. I'm just gonna use quick math here, and this, forgive me, I should have had this done. I didn't anticipate that. I didn't know the severity of the changes. I looked at I didn't pay attention on
All right,
those.
so I didn't look at that.
Are those the new values? That valuation, is that the latest?
Yeah.
That you've done internally here? Basically.
This was done by K-Camp. K-Camp did it, and they sent this to us 4 or 5 months ago. We got it, and I just focused on the courthouse and the auditorium building. I guess I didn't realize the other ones had changed that much.
Another question comes up. Why does the county own the circle side buildings?
That is a philosophical question. We
Yeah.
better stick to this one.
I was gonna say that goes back a long ways.
Well, it was I got an impression it was just for insurance.
As cheap as these rates are, it probably is. I mean, that would be a good reason for me.
So,
And we own the pump that they sit on.
Right.
There you go. There's another good one. Okay, so I just for the sake, and this. If a property value goes, say it multiplies by a factor of 7, would it stand to reason that the insured cost would follow that? Would it go up by a factor of 7? I mean, we're flying blind here a little. When I added up this middle section, which a lot of these are, they're not all historical buildings, but they're kind of the lower end value of some, various buildings, you come up with $2,336. That's the premium that the county pays. Now, and I just used that 7 because that would be the most aggressive one that I saw, worst case scenario. So then that, times that by 7, does that mean this year it's gonna cost us $16,352 to insure the same bill?
I don't know what the multiplier is. I don't know how to base it, but I can tell you from personal experience. Property dynamic, it's gone up significantly.
Yeah.
The same building, significantly. That's another, we keep talking about declining population, rising costs. This is a perfect example. So who is the county's insurance broker?
K-Camp.
Right, but is there a contact at that? I mean, who do we deal with?
or like, or the risk manager came out sometime.
Was his name Ashton? Yeah, but I have a K-Works guy, but that's different.
I'm just wondering if, we'd have a special meeting or actually. Get on a conference call with us and ask some of these questions, because obviously these are questions that you can't just guess at, we need to know.
So, if you've answered this, forgive me, but since they gave us the new values, why don't we have the new premium? Okay,
They would make us do a little like questionnaire and submit it by October 15. For the meeting. If I don't fix it, then, I just think
Right. So would there be a person we could ask these questions to or reach out to, email?
Learn. President, know what for taking on. But he's like.
I get it.
And. Yeah, there's on that. So.
Yeah, I'm afraid I sorted all that stuff out. I isn't even numbers. I have it anymore.
Well, could we have maybe Nikki email them and just kind of propose this question that we're, obviously we're budgeting, trying to review this, and this is. We have like,
Well, they let us know ahead of time, it's gonna be 15%. They set us earlier, what budget stuff, sorry. It's
okay, so what was our premium before?
100.
Let's try that 200,000.
Okay, and we're saying that there was gonna be at least a 10% increase to that. Okay. Well, I mean, that kind of answers your question there, because that 10% increase does not fall in line with the factor of 7.
No, it would.
So,
It would. That's right. But
so I guess
why it takes a group here.
take them at face value and say that's what we're expecting, but.
Yeah, I have some. Okay. So can we make a motion, though? Are we in agreement to just go with liability on the ongoing?
The letter that I talked about.
Okay.
Well, we can take that off the list. Move liability there. I would make a motion that we remove the auditorium building from the K-Camp property schedule list and find liability insurance for the county as an additional insured with private provider. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carried
That was pretty odd.
just for the auditorium, and that'll be effective. We'll put that on our work schedule, not work schedule, but on our list to talk to the private provider, because we should be good through the end of the year. That change will be effective at the end of the year. Okay, and so the challenge for that, for us too, as a commission then is now we had allocated around 20,000, give or take a year for that building for insurance. In my opinion, we can't really look at that as just a, I mean, it's not just a straight savings. Should we, what I'm thinking is, should we have some sort of fund or some sort of reserve for a contingency on that? You might love if you like that.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
So how would you put that in a special account?
If it goes into like a CIP fund, can you just denote that there's X amount of dollars in there for this? Can you make a note to that? So when you're looking at the CIP fund, it doesn't just look like a total. You would understand that there was a portion of it that was. I mean, I'm just thinking that in the future, if we're looking at that fund as a whole, then that would break it out and we'd say, well,
That's what
This
that
money
earmark
came from.
for, yeah.
Every year, I think we ought to add to that.
to a certain level, and then after, yeah, you know, so that way if we have something to happen there, you'd have a pool to access, so, okay, all right, wonderful. And then, so I'm still working on the 4 o'clock. We're still working on the 4 o'clock hard deadline here to end the meeting, so the next is Works annual meeting. Don't. What? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one, sorry. I got too much paper here. Okay, camp property list, we've done that, so do we need to approve that to forward that on?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then I got a little confused. I was on last week's agenda, but we're back to current time. The last on the list is the neighborhood revitalization discussion, our NRP plan. So,
And Nikki, that's what you were asking me about the other day when I saw it.
okay, so currently we're at anything that qualifies 5 years, 75% rebate. Hefford came in with a recommendation to change, well, a bunch of options. And we have, you know, really several to choose from if we want to make a change. Did you see?
She had sent it to, she forwarded it to me, so can you kind of bring me up to speed on exactly in the past, what have they done in the past?
75%.
5 years.
Yep.
It's actually 75% back, but we retain 5%. So it's actually like 70% back.
Yeah. So what I'm looking for here was. I'm gonna have to get better at this because my pile of paper is just getting too big. I did the math on these things, broke it out, because there are several options. One's a straight. Like we have 5 years at 95%, and then 5 more years at 50%. That's an option. Another one is a 3 years at 95, and then it declines by 10% to finish at 25%. And there's some 7-year options that go the same way. It's all a matter of keeping something that, first off, the county has it. It surprises me how many people build and are unaware that there's a neighborhood revitalization program. Once you start construction up to and including dirt work, then you're no longer eligible. We had a special case here where the phone call was a couple of days out of whack. According to the plan, if any work's done, then you no longer qualify. Right. So we need to do a better job of communication, but getting the word out there to encourage people to build, because the tax rebate is fairly significant. What do you think, Bill? Okay.
What's your experience? The people building, they pay a lot of attention to that or not?
Well. I would almost like to, who spearheads that, this is coming out of heaven, right? Okay, so who is our contact with heaven?
Yep.
So in the past, does she come in and talk to the commissioners and kind of basically explain?
But I think we've been on a 10-year plan or something. Expiring now.
Right, but I guess my question would be, in the last 10 years that this has been in place, could she kind of explain who's taking advantage, what she's seen?
That's part of the one that processes the applications and the no. So I know he's requiring a staff of paper before.
Yeah.
But you would have no doubt like that, you could, I think once the people going, so. Bill here.
Right. So the question really is we don't have a negative opinion on this. It's not a bad program. In other words, we haven't had bad experiences where we need to adjust it or anything like that. Is that correct?
So the negative is and this is purely from an income side, it shows as an expense on our budget.
Okay.
It shows as money that goes out of the county. Now, if you look at that, well, if they would have never built it, we'd have never collected it anyway.
Correct.
So there's that debate. The other thing we need to contend with is neighboring counties, what do they have? I believe Sabetha City and Seneca City have a 90%, 95% 10-year option. So if you're looking to attract somebody
Right.
here, you know, you need to be at least competitive with
Right.
surrounding.
And those would be the questions I'd be asking is, you know, what are the surrounding areas doing? So if we have a policy in place, are the surrounding areas doing something that's a little better? Or are we right in line with them? In other words, a business is looking to put something in northeast Kansas, are they going to go to Nemaha because they have a more attractive plan, or are we right in line with them?
So that information, and pardon me again, that was all the tip of my tongue a couple months ago. I'd have to go back and look, but Nemaha County's information is right there on their website,
Right.
so we can find.
And again, is this deadline, I know that you said this is coming up pretty quick.
Yeah, I know you do this, but in the program, and there's multiple steps to help you with that.
So we've kicked this game a little bit and we better get after it. So. And Michaela, we could probably ask her to come in and discuss it again if you wanted to, and that's no problem. I mean, no problem for me to
Yeah.
make the time. I don't know about her.
And I don't even know if she has to come in, maybe even a phone call.
So the options we have are the options she put together. I did not do that. So this is just what we have. This is her recommendations and or just ideas. And this is where I did the math. So like right here, if you take all that, extrapolate that out, you're at 72.5% over the 10 years. So this one with this more graduated scale, you're actually reducing 67% of the property tax. So if I was as a builder, I would want this one.
Right.
And actually, as an administrator, it would seem much simpler too. But you would have to do a good job of talking to your taxpayer when from year 5 to year 6, instead of getting 95% back, they only get 50 back. That'd be a pretty big jolt if they didn't know it was coming. But there's also some talk. So right now, to make this effective, there has to be some areas that are considered non-blighted. And Steve, Mr. Markham up there, if you go talk to him, he can show you in the city of Hiawatha, there's a few areas that don't qualify for the NRP. But then the rest of the county outside of that, those few areas qualify for just this blanket type thing. So we need to take a fairly hard look or have someone explain to us, you know, are there any more parts of our county that would be considered non-blighted? And if so, why? Or if not, why? And then do we want to so I had some ideas here, you know, maybe what we're trying to do, we're trying to stimulate economic development.
Sure.
So as a farmer, if I'm going to build a shed, I've utilized this program and it's great but when it's done, they drop the hammer on you, that's fine. But I didn't look into it for economic development. I just needed a shed. So in Hiawatha or Horton or, you know, wherever in any incorporated city in the county, this would be more of an economic lure, you know,
Right.
and that's why I wondered, you know, should we continue like the rural areas and could we do this 5-year plan? But to make it more attractive, do we need to do something different in the cities? And that's just an idea, topic for discussion. But
That's- I did, or recommend over 5 years, and then one going to sell with 100% debatable.
okay, and that's on the city side. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what this, so that, how, has a plan, we have a plan.
And they have a big plan. Hiawatha doesn't have their own,
So what,
so that,
oh, so Beth,
because they talk along, so we have to have their plan.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm running all this through my head on, you know, a lot of things.
No, it's unfair to ask you to be informed on this.
Not at all, not at all. I'm just saying that,
So,
uh,
I think I got another question. Excuse me.
no, go ahead.
So in Sabetha, so if they're in Brown County, so the Brown County taxes go by our plan, the city taxes go by their plan? How does that work?
We had to approve this, but the city plan, so that it works all. And people ended up like, feel like that's what the bill is,
So in Sabetha City, they go by their plan, not the county plan.
right? They don't get some devil bit. But it's to be put on ground.
always. I'm on the wrong side here, but always thought the county ought to be good enough that we'd track for that incentives, but it's probably the way to go.
So Brown County is excellent, and we're a lovely place to be. The trick is when your neighbor county puts the draw in,
Right.
if you're gonna choose from here or, 10 miles west or east of here or
Right.
whatever.
Side of
you
the
know.
highway you're gonna put it on, so
Yeah.
it's a big difference.
And as I understood it, it's a little before my time, but some of the reason for the development on the east side of the highway in Sabetha is because Brown County had this neighborhood revitalization.
Correct.
And,
So it-
people that are an entrepreneur is gonna build a business, they're gonna look at all these things and they're gonna make decisions. And again, I mean, I sort of changed my tune on this because I thought, well, maybe this isn't not something we need to do. But again, it doesn't really cost us anything. We just don't
It's-
collect.
In reality, 10 years is a short amount of time, if you were looking at the, the long run, the big picture, right?
So someplace I was reading here, it was talking about how the population is going down. I'm not sure that was accurate, that our population has gone down a lot, but I'm not sure it's continuing to go down as much as they predicted it would.
I haven't taken a head count, so I just was going on that 9,200.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I mean, your census is every 10 years, so whenever you're getting data that's between those 10 years, I don't know, I think they're just going off the tax rolls, I'm assuming.
Or,
Because they're not taking another census, so they're obviously looking.
or I think in the past, the farming community was disappearing, and I'm not sure there's that many people disappearing anymore.
I don't know. I don't know, but this neighborhood thing, neighborhood revitalization plan. We work in tandem with Heffed, and Heffed sort of takes the lead. They don't take the lead.
Figures and stuff.
Okay.
You need to be, but I think you need to follow this and let it follow back in
Okay.
Could we get her in here just to do even like a 10-minute, 15-minute?
Yeah.
I mean, before,
With the reasoning to get you on up to speed. Sure. I think that's fine. I mean, I hate to inconvenience her. See what she says, because this has been in the back of our minds for 6 months, and we knew it was coming. And then you can see my work here, but that's sort of where it stopped. Yeah. Yeah, again, my question is, one of my questions is, should we differentiate between city and rural? It sounds like Savannah differentiates between commercial and residential, so there's already some of that being done.
and those would be kind of questions I'd be asking her, what are you seeing?
Yeah.
So then you gotta identify as your farm stuff, is that commercial or is that?
Yeah, and maybe my idea doesn't make sense, but maybe you do residential and commercial. You could do it that way.
Farm is actually commercial.
Don't tell that to the DOT. So don't.
Well, right. Well, it's a business, put it that way.
It is a business, that's right. That's right. But we also enjoy some, like when I put a new grain bin up, I don't pay taxes to the state. I mean, I don't pay the property tax for 8 years or an 8-year exemption. But when that exemption's off, every year I call, what happened, and it's because of being. Okay, so you sent an email, try to get her on the schedule. All right. So did you send this information to him so he can
She
look
did,
at it?
yes.
Okay, so you have it.
I have it elected.
Okay. So then we can roll on. Does that qualify as our NRP discussion then? Yeah, okay, all right, we'll put that on the list then for maybe next week. Is there any other business then that we need to do at this time? Yes, okay.
Mr. Reed, are you on big stuff at all?
They suggested, I don't know. We'll say that we need her over there anymore.
Well, phone needs.
They they can still leave a message over there. Why do you?
You don't have to leave a message.
All right,
You have to have a phone to leave a message.
right, so what do you think? Do we need her?
Who's checking the message?
Yeah, is anyone?
Yeah, is there any, that's a good question. Nobody goes over there every day, it's not worth it.
If we discontinue the phone, then I know there's a charge to get it re-hooked back up, but will we lose our number?
I don't know,
Possibly. Possibly. Okay,
But if we have a secretary now, she takes the phone calls.
what is the fee? What is it? $43 a month?
It's a cheapest phone we got. But it's still worth some more money.
All right, so since we're still onboarding here and we're in the process of changing some stuff around, can we just leave it for now?
I don't think.
Let's just leave it for now.
Yeah, because I think when we do that, I think you get the information out there that the line of communication would go through Tammy.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. That way people aren't just trying to call a number and not getting an answer.
Right.
If they get a disconnected number is something.
Sure, yeah, let's leave it, let's leave it. for now. Okay, what else?
Any thoughts on the Prairie Road last year? Do you want to declare the process is the long process, or do you want to wait until you said you're still on? I don't even know what the process looks like.
What price is trying to get-
Cost share.
trying to get a grant?
Prairie Road. So Prairie Road, through the process, I think it just gets mentioned a lot. It's in pretty bad shape. You're
Right.
familiar with Prairie Road?
Yes, I am.
One right up there. So it took a long time to get the 270th Street thing from start to finish.
Correct.
So do we want to start that now? Since we are financially challenged. There's no doubt about it. And an 8-mile project would be twice as much money as the first, you know. But it's a long, so what do you think, begins?
I don't think it hurts to start the process, but I think we need to talk with her after she starts it to see how it's going. I mean, obviously 8 miles, we know the cost of that, even if it's a 90-10, which I don't know if they do anything close to that on it. I don't know, right? I mean, obviously Glass Bridge was a 90-10, correct? Right. Yeah, we're looking at a significant cost, so it could be big.
We have to ask if there's an offering, essentially. If we
Correct.
start this, does that commit us?
And so who's gonna do it? Is the engineer gonna do it or is Tammy gonna do it? I mean, if the engineer does it, he's gonna have charge.
Sure.
We could at least have her, let's task Tammy with just gathering some information, seeing what's out there, and we'll just basic a slow start, soft start.
So the county official meeting on November 14th was anybody can have sitting on that in one day.
We had information on that a while ago through the email.
And I don't know. I'm pretty sure. I don't have any information that for any time. Okay.
We don't have like an agenda or anything like that, no.
Roughly 31, but then $25 per person.
I wish I knew what they were talking about. Does somebody generally go? I'm not against going, I just.
We went when it was in Seneca. I forgot about last year, one thing. In somewhere. No, we didn't go when it was in Emo County, we went when it was in Marshall County.
I went.
Okay, you went to Oregon.
What was discussed? Listen.
We also different. Departments, all the clerks get together and talk about them wrong, right? But I don't know what. Talks about, it's the same thing, but.
You did have a meal, probably didn't you?
If there's the office, we could talk about watching. But.
Okay. Well, in the absence of an agenda, I've just decided I don't think I would get. So, Mr. Pollock, what do you think?
I didn't miss going last year, so I guess I'm not. Whether
Okay,
way this
you'll
goes.
be official, if you'd like to go, we can sure sign you up. Okay,
I think I could pass them.
still pass, okay. Okay, and that's all right.
Also, I don't know if there's how many of Zoom meeting next Monday,
Okay,
so we look there for. But it may be before again. That was in fact, we. 5 November, and I think suburban and urban involvement.
where would we go to get more information on just the state health insurance plan? Just what the state government health insurance plan. Any call I've taken about insurance, that's always been mentioned. And is there an inside track to get info?
I think Barb asked more info and there's the how we're.
Okay.
How was that you, whatever she received. from
That'd be
Barb.
perfect. That'd be perfect. And send it to everybody too, so we're all the same. Okay,
So does the commission normally do an insurance review once a year or once every 2 years? Is that, are you familiar with that?
need health insurance?
Just on all of our insurance, just a review on what we have, what's covered. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier, where you're about, you're starting an insurance policy with a new insurance company, you're giving them some what ifs. What happens if this kind of accident happens? How are we getting paid? Just to kind of understand better what we have. Because insurance is, again, it's tricky, so quite often you'll see like in businesses, they'll have insurance. But the only way they find out how they get paid something is if they have an accident. And a lot of times that's too late. It's like, well, I thought we had coverage for this, but we actually don't. And so what we were doing is we were doing insurance reviews. Basically with our brokers, like once a year, just to kind of go over, but also get their recommendations and say, are we covered? Do we need additional insured, like what you just mentioned, those kind of things. And I'm just wondering in the past, so a lot of the stuff that's in place has been done by other commissioners. Correct? So. As we step into it, we're just assuming that
They did it right.
they did it right.
So we had K-Camp come in and visit with us, made some contacts at that meeting in January, the new commissioners meeting. And K-Work also, I believe, presented. Things start to run together. So they do offer that, yeah. We make a phone call, they'll give you a review and.
Sure.
And we,
You walk down your policy and then you kind of explain it and what's supposed to happen is at the end of that meeting is we understand a little bit better.
so we
how
didn't exactly walk through the policy and item by item, but K-Work, that's the workman's compensation side of it. And sort of explain that to me. And again, it runs together because I know I visited with him on the phone just to try and get an understanding of that.
Right.
I do have his number, very good, easy guy to work with. As far as the property thing, we just worked with the list that was handed to us.
Right.
So, and we made one small adjustment, but, you know, Bill would like to take some of the other small ticket items off of there, and that would require some sort of communication with it.
What I'm looking to avoid is that. I mean, you're fairly new in this position. I'm brand new in this position. He's been around a little bit.
Well, I don't.
I'm not taking anything away from you, Bill, but quite often people say, well, I just assumed that we had this or whatever, and I just want to kind of avoid that.
That's a, say that's a dangerous position.
It is. So, and I'm not asking like we have to do it right away. I'm just saying that those are the kind of things that we could be working towards. Yeah. Because it falls on us, right?
Right.
So,
So we'll get an adjustment here. When we start the new year, we'll get a bill for our workers' comp insurance. And so I remember that document because it was higher than the year before. So every time we go through the budget process, our salary or our payroll goes up. Well, it makes sense that
Correct.
workman's comp costs,
correct.
go up
The
also.
multiplier.
There you go.
Sure.
So there's that thing, and yeah, as we got this review or reappraisal on all our buildings, we got the 10%. As far as an annual review, I'm not sure we have anything set in place. Says,
And they said 10 to 15%, right? So we don't even know if it's 50% yet.
so we budgeted, the math there made sense because the 20,000 we took off of that auditorium should have covered the 10 to 15% or got darn close
Right.
to the premium adjustment. So we didn't save any money there. We just didn't spend as much.
But those are the hard decisions you have to make. I mean, going forward, you can't just accept that these skyrocketing costs, we just absorb all of them, man. Sometimes you have to look back and say, yeah, we used to carry this, but we're no longer doing it. We've made a decision to.
So one of the fun things we did or we learned, and I say fun loosely, was, so we talked through the budgeting process and we met with the K-Camp. And I can't remember I want to say it's Austin, but that'd be too, maybe it was Tyler. Just can't remember his name. they had a program where they do roof inspections. So Nikki made the call to Stanfield Roof. They came out, this is a pretty new roof, that's a pretty new roof. And they do this roof inspection. Well, the roofs are 5 years old, 3 years old. Just right at the end of their workmanship warranty, the guy comes up there and said, hey, this is wrong, this is wrong. And so they fixed it. The roofing company came back to their credit out of Kansas City and they fixed all that. And that was because K-Camp has this checklist. And we're working on it. And one of those, and so we signed up this building, and I believe that building for a once a year roof inspection. Doesn't cost much, and it just to catch things before they become a big problem. I mean, we actually really did well. That was, because there were some problems.
One thing that came out good.
Yeah, sure. Well, don't be, there's a lot of things that come out good, but that one was, because there was some water leakage in that building. That's because one of those membranes had come up. And so. Sure. K-Camp and K-Work both, K-Work provides a document that gives us a checklist. So if we want the lowest possible premium, you know, are we doing this? Are we doing this? Are we doing this? And when the county checks the boxes, we almost hit them all. There was just a few they didn't do. One of them was through law enforcement for defensive driver, because I think he uses his own program. So if that counts as an insurance review, you want.
No, I think we're on the right track. I just, again, insurance is tricky.
It's a mill.
Obviously, with an organization this size and as much insurance as we're carrying, there's just a lot of things that I'm sure that none of us, we're not well versed at it because we haven't been around long enough to have to use it and then see exactly.
So Tammy would know some things, because we asked her a question on this Armadillo traffic counter. That thing cost $4,000. Something like that. And so we have insurance for that and it's listed as like a non-specific item that's over a certain amount of money, but we do have a coverage for something like that if it was lost or stolen or destroyed. Sure. So, yeah, we've lots of them. Ask all the questions you want. We usually can answer it pretty fast. Sometimes we even ask the same question more than once.
Last up here, you got $5,000 electrical. Personally, I was never big on insurance. Health insurance, you know. So there's another stuff. We have 3 graders and one goes bad. And just wait for everybody that we can't afford, or do that with paying insurance over there to make sure you don't.
Depends on the risk, you know, depends on the premium. Sure. That's,
But you're willing to risk.
and I think like Bill a lot, what changed my mind was this K-Camp, some of the values, some of the prices we pay on rolling stock for insurance. I mean, it's like $70 to $80, you know, on a $30,000 pickup.
Yeah.
And you know, like, well, I mean, I just say spend it because that's pretty darn affordable. You know, my pickup, it's $1,400. And so, you know, they scratch your head a little bit, but so.
One thing you got should be the cheaper.
Well, they have such a large pool, is the way it was explained to me, that's how they can do it. So sure, affordable. Absolutely. So. But again, I mean, it's still money.
Otherwise, I can't even. Normal rates.
Yeah, it's just, it's cost prohibitive. Yeah, yeah. Okay, anything else?
November 3rd. Okay, we switch to 1 p.m. I wasn't thinking about what. So we early go in something and then we take all the equipment, replace it that afternoon.
Can we do it a different day? Yeah.
That's a good question.
Okay,
Because we're gonna have one on the 31st, so I don't have. On the evening of 31st, I don't know what.
what's your suggestion? Just skip it?
That's what I put it, I want to.
What would be the best? So we're gonna take care of business the last day, then that's. I say we, are you looking for recommendations or do you have?
Yeah,
I say we skip it.
the only concern with that was, that we, the health insurance,
Oh, darn.
and then still have to be, and I'm going to be talking about.
So, exactly. What do you think, Commissioner Paul? You want to just reschedule for a different day?
So what's a time limit on health insurance or whatever?
We need to know by November 10th, so we can put everything together and I'll open it.
Wonderful.
Our next meeting will be November 10th, so.
All right, November 3rd. Let's just you want to, doing it on the Tuesday following, would that work? Do you want it Wednesday? What do you think? What works best for you? Because what works, I mean, I'm entirely flexible. So,
You're going to pull out. Okay, so.
so you don't want to do it the next day?
Go out, you're out of what, so.
Oh,
Go out.
okay. Do either of you gentlemen have a specific idea? When you'd like to?
I'm flexible on the date, so what? I'd
You
say
tell me,
works best.
I'm gonna, we will work with the date you give us, because the election is crunch time for you.
You feel. Well. Unless I'm having that one place that we want to do anywhere. So. It's fine. If you want.
You're fine with that? That's the third option. Okay, so we'll have it on the 4th. At 1 o'clock? Okay, November 4th at 1 o'clock. All right, so when we all show up on Monday, the 3rd, we'll just be 24 hours early.
5 minutes.
Duties? Okay, with. Now, I'm not sure of the legalities here. Do we just, okay, well, then we'll leave you in here. That's all right. Are you comfortable?
Just say that he's here.
Okay, well, then I'll make a motion. We go into executive session for 5 minutes. With the 3 commissioners and the 2 commissioners, the appointed commissioner and the county clerk to discuss non-elected personnel and duties. Is there a second?
Well, I'm on
5 minutes.
fine. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. We'll come back to 30:47. All right, we're out of executive session, back into regular session with no binding action taken. Is there anything else to come before the commissioners?
No, I think we need, this is October, November's coming pretty quick. I think we need to have a plan. Or
Yeah,
something.
so. Originally, before Richard stepped down, we talked about having a plan B and getting a group of people that we can rely on if we get heavy snow or if somebody calls in sick or somebody's hurt or whatever. So I've been reaching out like we discussed, and I've got a list of people so far that are interested, all with CDL licenses. And so what it comes down to is we have to agree on a wage that we would pay them. And then we would have to have some sort of a form that they can come in and sign and they can be pre-approved. So this all comes down to insurance again. But basically they're a part-time employee. And we come up with the wage. If we can agree on that wage, I think that's the next step. And then we get the list of people that we've been talking to and get them on board and their phone numbers and kind of have a plan that our bridge foremen know who they are. We get them in, look at the equipment prior to it. And the people that we're talking to are all heavy equipment operators already, so that's not gonna be a problem. We just need to basically come up with what we agree upon on that wage.
Do they all work for the same company or different?
No, they're various people. What I've been doing is trying to get people from different geographic areas of the county, so that works as well. And so far, there's at least 3 that say absolutely they'd like to do it. And that way, I mean, they're talking heavy snow this year. Doesn't mean it's gonna happen. And, if we don't need them, we don't need them. That's wonderful. But if we do, at least we're thinking about it now. Making sure.
Or we can, maybe as a, we'll use it like contractors.
That 1099, yeah.
But we need to adjust the wage scale to attract. It won't be. Oh, okay. That gives us some freedom and flexibility. Okay,
They need to get,
Correct.
and the road and bridge foreman would handle that
That's
themselves.
correct.
Yeah, that
Go
would
right through them if they. A guy calls in sick on Saturday, or let's say we get some heavy snows and they work 8 hours and they want to go home, we bring one of these guys on and work 8 hours. That kind.
Okay,
And then, obviously, the wage would be higher than would normally be because there's no benefits, there's no insurance and all that.
Yeah.
So,
Would that be some contract for?
our council can answer that. I'd like it as simple as possible. Basically, we want to protect ourselves, that these people have been already pre-approved. They have CDL licenses in good standing on record with us. That they've been checked out on the equipment prior to. And some of these people have done it before.
Mhm. So 3 is, I mean, and we can surely make that list bigger, but even just having 3 extra.
Sure, and the goal was to have about 5 on the list.
Yes.
Because obviously, just because they're on the list doesn't mean they can respond,
Right.
right? So again, it's just showing that we're thinking about the snow that's coming, and if we get hammered, we have a way to, and when I was talking to the bridge foreman, it's heavy on their mind, they're always concerned about what we're gonna do if we get a lot of snow. So I said, let us handle that, let's get you some more help if you need it. I think whether it's a heavy snow year or not, it needs to be in place, it's just a good way to deal with snow event.
my district ain't got anybody.
I'm sorry?
I haven't got anybody in my district to do it, so.
Right, and
Push it on,
one of the guys is from Powhatan, so. That would work.
Okay, well,
So-
and
And then I think they need to dry the roads too, to make sure they know where
That's all part of,
Good.
once we have them signed up, then we would get them in and we'd literally let them operate a piece of equipment and we'd let the bridge foreman make sure that they're familiar with it. And then, because they're from the areas, we're gonna get a map of the county roads and.
certain roads that.
Yep.
Certain places you don't wanna get too close to them.
That's absolutely true. So,
So the training side of this, the safety side of that, we'll take care of with some. Like I said, get familiar with the equipment and, I mean, it sounds fine. It sounds workable to me. And you're already thinking about it, so,
That answer my question.
and you're
So-
communicating with the road foreman also.
yes. yeah.
Okay, they
So,
know.
In fact, we reached out to the road foreman and asked them first if they had ideas, some they would want.
Okay,
So,
okay. All right. yeah.
Very-
so we need, the next step will be is determining what that wage will be.
All right. And we can do that. I mean, we're out of time today, basically. We got 7 minutes, so.
Well, make sure we're working on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, put it on the agenda. We'll get on that because my assumption is that Mr. Tesserero will be official next week.
Yeah.
Okay,
I looked into that today. Talk about that later.
Okay.
I think that the attorney kind of explained the process that happens if there are delays. For instance, if the governor's office wasn't getting back for some reason, I think there's a time period that lapses and it just moves forward. I think that'll be it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I heard.
because part of what, you're on board too, the snow removal is part of the road bridge and the alignment, I guess you would say, of that whole section. So we need to get rolling on that too. So. All right, anything else? Okay, no, it's a long meeting, but we got, quite a bit done, I think. I had on my list from last week, just some more ideas about like this coffee with commissioners thing. And some strategic planning, and that's not anything immediate. But we are sort of restricted because if two of us are in the room together, we have to have the county clerk. That would we ever want to, and just think about this, would you ever want to take something like that on your own? Would you like coffee with commissioner?
If it makes it easier for, the coma side of it, I have no problem with that. In other words, Bill's meeting with some people from his district. He doesn't need me there.
Okay,
If he wanted us to be there, that's fine, but I don't sit there and go, we need to be there. Bill's obviously able to talk to people that are in his district,
sure.
so.
My experience is. Well, they're just a group that goes to the wall, and whenever I go there. It seems like anyone wants to talk about this,
Now they clam up pretty tight.
but yeah, I probably should be out. The community.
Well, we're trying to make some changes here that are for the community. There's no secrets here, so it's like. It's our duty to kind of get that information out to the people.
Then the
And that's
Facebook,
that's just a good way to do it.
So sometimes if there's something like that, I do go in there and. I'm thinking, but
Sure.
and the Facebook side of this too, that's something else we're gonna have to look into. And it's in the future, but really not too distant future, because the sooner we get on that, the better. We're gonna have one of those little phone stands there and we can, if we get it, and I'm serious here, sounds a little foreign to me, but if we could set that thing up, we could record something at the end of the meeting. And what did we do? This is my vision
Sure.
anyway. What did we just accomplish? What did we talk about? And what do we think people need to know? And we do it in 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah,
or whatever.
it's just really small
Yeah.
blast out there and.
Summarize, maybe even just summarize what the last 3 hours were, the
Right.
best we know how.
Inca does pretty good on that when she summarizes what we're talking about.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But so the Facebook side of this is I understand the videos, if they get over 30 seconds, and Dallas chime in too, because I assume you Facebook. I have no idea.
I have one.
Okay, all right. Well, then I looked at you as the tech guy and I shouldn't. have. Okay, so the Facebook side, you can do a 30-second video, but once you get over 30, then it kicks you out somehow. It is what I understand. Okay. Because I don't think we could do it in 30 seconds. It's going to be a couple minutes. 30 seconds goes pretty fast. Okay. So we could do it. Oh, okay. Well, just something to chew on, and all of us are going to speak. Even you.
Sure about that.
Well, so like neighborhood revitalization, people can't take advantage of that if they don't know it exists. And unless we shout it out, then maybe they won't ever know. And some of the things we did, even last week, when we did that health insurance thing, that's a pretty big deal. And I mean, I know in the past, I've always thought, well, some guys just get on the commission just for health insurance. And then, well, we're not doing that anymore. And people need to know. And not everyone reads the minutes in the Horton headlight. So,
That's so important though, that it starts at the top, that we say, hey, right now, this county's in a budget crunch, just like most counties around us. And so we realize we're starting from the top. We're gonna look at things that don't make sense and we're gonna try to correct them.
Mhm.
And that's one of them.
okay. You just fine. Well, if nothing else, then I don't have anything else. I'd make a call for adjournment.
Second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, meeting adjourned. We got 2 minutes for work session and we're done. So. And I really didn't have anything on the work session side. Thanks, Dallas.
Nope.